Madness Podcast, the best of the underground. Make madness your ritual.
What's going down, folks? How's it going? It is Friday, fucking Friday. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully you had a good week. Hopefully everybody's doing well. Hopefully everybody's healthy. I know there's a spell of the old COVID rolling around and some sort of virus and some sort of... I know for a fact because I got sick as shit March 27th, Sunday. Went to work on Monday and felt horrible into the next week. And both my girls had COVID. I tested negative, but I had a lung infection, a sinus infection, and I've been feeling horrible. So that's why I haven't been doing any podcasts lately, folks. I appreciate you sticking around and coming to check us out here again. Hopefully you're having a fantastic Friday in this cold tundra of Minnesota, I guess it would be. Do me a favor, check out Anti-Broadcasting, Anti-Broadcasting Custom Screen Printing, Anti-Broadcasting at gmail.com, 612-836-9488. You can get a hold of those guys. If you're looking to get some merch done, Anti-Broadcasting is a spot that I like to use, and many local bands here in the Twin Cities use it as well. A lot of local and national bands as well. Anti-Broadcasting at Gmail. Hit them up for a quote or give them a call, 612-836-9488. Again, Anti-Broadcasting Incorporated, custom screen printing. Give them a shout. If you're looking to get tattooed, Lowbrow Saints Tattoo Collective is the spot I like to go to. Jason and all the tattoo artists over there are fantastic people. They will look after you. They've got the Twist of Fate over there where you can put your money in a gumball machine and fucking twist it up and get what you get. It's kind of cool. It's twisted. It's different. It's something, I don't know, unique for me. I don't know. Check it out. Lowbrow Saints Tattoo Collective, lowbrowsaints@gmail.com. If you're looking to get a quote, hit them up. Jason has been on my podcast several times doing the Donkey Show, or give him a call, 612-353-4755. Let them know that we sent you, and hopefully they will help you out, and they normally will, man. They're good people over there. So if you're looking to get tattooed, go to Lowbrow Saints, and I appreciate it very much. My guest today is Nick Warhead. How you doing, Nick?
Good.
Good to see you, man. Fuck, it's been a long time, man. We kind of been in the same area playing in bands for around the same amount of time, right?
Yeah, somewhere around the early 90s.
Yeah, us old cats, yeah. So so how did I like to ask people from the very beginning, like, what were you listening to when you were coming up? What were your folks listening to? What was going? You got brothers and sisters. What were they listening to back in the day before you really started pushing the heavy stuff?
Well, I had an older brother. I was about 8 years older than me.
Yeah.
So I mean, he was into Kiss and Ted Nugent, Alice Cooper, stuff like that. So yeah, I heard that stuff at a really young age.
Yeah.
Then he started playing guitar. And, a few years later, kind of rubbed off on me.
Yeah.
I did start on drums.
Yeah. Oh, you said that was your first thing?
Yeah, I still can play drums. I
Nice.
just choose not to.
Lot less equipment to carry around.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, then my brother he brought over one day, some music that I'd never heard before. It's Anthrax,
Yeah.
Metallica, Merciful Fate, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I mean, I already was into Ozzy and Black Sabbath, stuff like that, but it's like, wow,
Just push you to the next level.
for sure. And then, it's a few years I liked that kind of stuff, and I didn't, fully throw my hat in the ring as a metalhead, so to speak, till like 86.
Yeah.
So this,
Were you doing the battle of the bands or like talent shows at school and shit like that?
that was a few years later. Once we actually did get a band going.
Yeah.
And stuff. We did a couple of those.
What was the first band?
Is this a punk band that we were in?
Yeah.
We played for like one summer and then broke up.
Yeah.
And then we got back together a little later, and then that was Warhead was basically what came out of that.
Yeah, that was the first band that we had all been playing shows
Yeah.
in the same time. I think Lobotomy was. Did we play together as Lobotomy, or was it Necromus back
Yeah,
then?
I think it was at those that ballroom.
Yeah.
Those Band Attack 91 or whatever it
Yeah.
was. I still have some of those flyers.
Yeah. It was like Withrow Ballroom. We played
Yep,
that one,
Withrow.
right?
Yeah. a
And then we
couple of
played the Knights of Columbus too out this way.
those.
I think
I never
didn't
got that far.
we? Really?
Yeah. We didn't.
Did you do any of the Fuddruckers shows?
No. We never got the votes enough to go any further.
Oh,
on it.
really?
We did two of the shows at Withrow, and that was it basically.
Did you end up doing? Did we play any talent shows together too?
I don't think so. We did that when I was my senior year.
Oh, gotcha.
Played with I think a lot of people you ended up playing with later on.
Yeah. Like when you started, what was your first gig out? What was the first club that you got to
Club. Probably 7th Street Entry.
play? No shit.
Yeah, we played their new band night. This was at a time where metal was waning, so there's sound guys, people in the audience were kind of heckling us a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, because it was all like new wave weird shit. Wasn't
Well,
it?
I mean,
Kind of-
Nirvana was out and all that grunge.
Oh, okay,
and
gotcha.
Stuff around that time.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
Going in, played speed thrash metal. It's pretty kind of
yeah.
alienated, but it was a fun first gig anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing wrong with that, man. I miss those days, man. Those old 7th Street Entry days and playing the Ave. I was talking to a coworker today about that playing when we were teenagers. You know what I mean? And then in my 20s, and then in my 30s, and then the last time in my 40s was for the Chad Hanks benefit show, or when he passed away, his memorial show. So it was just kind of crazy that I'd been playing in that venue for so fucking long, But I remember the first time playing that stage and getting down on my knees and kissing the floor, and Jay and those guys are looking at me like, what the hell's wrong with you, dude? What are you doing, But yeah, I'd always said, look at the stars on the wall. You know what I'm saying? You just, an opportunity to play, like a staple in Minnesota for, nationwide, I guess,
Yeah, you think all the bigger bands that have been on that stage over the years, probably early in their career.
Sure. Like when you're first coming up, what were some of your biggest influences? Would you say, as far as like with the thrash stuff? I mean, you stayed kind of in the thrash stuff pretty much the whole time.
Yeah, really influenced by crossover type stuff. DRI and Cro-Mags.
Yeah,
that Slayer, of course.
What were your first like punk bands before you did the crossover stuff?
Just really trashy. I mean, I barely could even play.
Yeah.
When we started,
yeah,
just me and Danny.
Yeah,
if you remember him. I was playing with him all the way up till 2019 or 2020 when he quit.
But he just stopped playing altogether?
Yeah, he just kind of he found the Lord basically.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
I know lots of musicians and addicts that have all, found him, and I never knew he was lost.
Yeah.
It's like
it's all the years of all the influence, lyrics, we've listened to over the years that were anti this, and he's also a big fan of George Carlin, so I don't know what the hell happened there, but it was disappointing.
Yeah, it usually is for me. You know what I mean? I don't play any instruments. I mean, I've tried to play bass. I mean, I've tried to play virtually everything, but it seems to me like someone who puts that much time into something, you know what I mean, to give it up for something that is supposed to create you to be creative, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't think he could fit into, being the metal musician, and I kind of didn't necessarily fit in with the whole thing.
Yeah.
Type of guy that would leave right after we'd play,
Yeah. Yeah, just didn't want to be around the vibe.
Yeah. He's a former alcoholic, I guess. So,
sure.
He didn't really want to be around the drink and
right,
all that.
Right.
So
I jammed with a guy for many years back in the day that basically left the band and came back, but he was really Christian, you know what I mean? He was like way into that stuff, and I always tried to like understand that, you know what I mean? Like you practice really hard to get good and proficient at an instrument, right? And you're given this gift, right? You're given the gift. You don't just, you have to work at it, but a lot of times it's a gift to you. You know what I mean? You find your ear for music. You're able to pick it apart. You know what I mean? Like I've met guys who pick up an instrument, they start figuring out chords, and a lot of people do this from what I gather. You start to learn the instrument, you start to hear the tones and hear the chords and hear the sounds, and you pick up one of your favorite records and you push play and you're listening to it and you're like, I can hear that. Like you tune your ears to hear the shit. And to me, that's a gift. That's something that you were given. You know what I mean? Like you had to find it, this path to it, and for someone to use that as an excuse to be like, I can't because of my beliefs. You know what I'm saying? Like it's weird to me,
Well, I don't see how, it has anything to do with the beliefs.
Right. Right.
They could play Christian rock, or
right.
Stripe or whatever.
Right. Yeah, you're still on that path to do something creative. It doesn't really. You hear stories about some of the death metal bands that are like Satan this and Satan that, and outside of the gimmick that they use on stage, they're they devout church people. You know what I'm saying? It's just kind of weird to me that people use it to I don't know kind of condemn it or shame it, or you know what I mean, like. You can't have the duality of what life really is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You think of Tom Araya, he's like a practicing Catholic.
Right.
Singing about Satan.
Right. Well, and what, Hanneman and fucking Kerry King were writing a lot of those lyrics too, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he's probably like,
I don't think he had much problem.
No?
Problem singing them.
And making the money, I suppose.
All about the money.
yeah, for sure. So with the Warhead stuff, like how long did you guys go in with Warhead?
It was like 89 when we started, and then we ended up breaking up in I think around 94. The other guys, they wanted to go the path that a lot of people do. You settle down, get married,
Sure.
have kids and all that.
Yep.
And it's kind of left me in the lurch because I didn't have any plans really to do that, at least at that age.
Right.
I'm 21. I wanted to play, so
Yeah.
kind of, it was a tough couple of years after that. I didn't have, my band, my main friends that I
Sure.
grew up with and
Right.
that, so
Yeah.
that was kind of a bummer.
As far as being were you writing a lot? Were you continuing to write? Were you continuing to keep practicing?
I
and
mean,
doing
I
your thing?
tried. I have a hard time without having like a drummer
Sure.
to help me with stuff. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's really important to have that because it just sets the whole tone of the song, having the drums there.
Right.
So, I mean, I did work on some stuff. I kind of quit playing guitar. That's where I got more into drums. Me
Yeah.
and my brother had a cover band going.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we never made it out to play.
Yeah. Does your brother still play?
He's deceased.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear
He
that.
died back in 2017.
Damn, sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah. We weren't on the best of terms by that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, there had been a lot of family issues.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so forth. So,
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
That's did
Sucks,
so when you started playing the drums and then more of the drums and you guys had the cover band for a little while. Now, how long did that go? Just was it just like a garage project or something? that you
Yeah,
were
we
doing?
never made it out of the practice room.
What were you playing then?
And we were a cover band, so we played mostly, 80s kind of rock
Yeah.
covers, 70s, but really kind of deep tracks, more or less.
Yeah.
'Cause we weren't into really doing all the same songs that other people were doing.
Yeah. What were some of the deeper tracks that you were hitting?
Oh, what did we do? Different stuff like Accept,
Yeah.
Love Child.
Yeah.
Is a good one. Some AC/DC. I think we even did Smokin' by Boston.
Yeah.
And that was a tough one to keep up with.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
got a certain groove to it.
Yeah. It certainly does, man. It's kind of skippity, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like just kind of going.
We had a good 40 songs there, and then we had somebody quit, and then we just kind of
Fuck it.
fuck it and quit doing it. I was played drums in a band called Three's Eve for
Yeah.
a very short time.
Uh-huh. But what style was that?
It's kind of doom metal,
Hmm?
but maybe more goth metal, I guess.
Yeah.
That didn't work out either.
Yeah.
So we had different ideas of what metal was.
Sure.
I wanted to play Slayer, Motorhead. They wanted to play whatever,
Right.
and it's a lot slower than I'm used to working in. I like those mid tempos.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that
yeah.
didn't work out.
Yeah, and the first tune that we played was "Blast Off" from Hills of Crosses. Now, or Hill of Crosses. Now, how long has that? Were you working on this project?
Well, my other band, Detroitus, we broke up in 2014. And so me and a drummer were going to work on just doing some, different stuff than what we'd been doing.
Right.
That was 2014. So we didn't actually even hit the stage till 2019.
Oh wow.
We didn't have a bass player. We had a singer that stayed for a while, wrote some lyrics,
Yeah.
helped out with stuff.
Sure.
And found our bass player, and I started playing again. But between COVID and our drummer quitting, we kinda-
Now I'll jump back. Now, what was the first band that you said? Did started with D? Gave it to me.
Detroitus.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was our doom metal band.
Okay. That was after the cover band, like two bands.
Yeah, it was
after
quite
the
a few more. Actually, at the cover band, and two other guys that I played with regularly in Warhead, they,
Yeah.
their situations, they got divorced and all that stuff that happens,
Yeah.
your first wife or whatever.
Yeah.
So we ended up just getting to get together and playing.
Yeah.
The band was called 12 Gauge.
Okay.
We did a couple of CDs. Wasn't as well received as I had hoped.
Yeah.
It was a bad time to play what we were playing, basically.
Yeah.
Trying to play like British style
Thrash.
thrash metal in 2002 was pretty hard.
Yeah, it was.
Nobody had a
Everything
lot
was
of interest.
all fucking new metal back then.
Yeah.
Right?
And I remember taking a promo pack to this one place. These kids are just looking at me like, who the hell is this guy?
Yeah. Right.
And never heard back from him.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of, us old cats are, trying to shuffle in the mix of all that. I think I went back to Necromus right around that time. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like back to the death metal shit. Because it was that, the new metal stuff was, and I never really, you know what I mean? So some people said that the sub-level stuff was more jump metal. And, I always felt like it was Hatebreed, Sepultura kind of stuff, you know what I mean? But to me, it didn't seem rappy or anything like that, which I liked all that stuff. I didn't have a problem with any of that, but I've always tried to stay heavy, you know what I mean? I never really tried to go outside my cookie cutter thing that I've always done.
Yeah, I resist everything. I'm just really old school about
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And a lot of the stuff I listen to most of the time now is like 70s
Yeah.
rock stuff, like Deep Purple and Blue Oyster Cult.
Sure.
Stuff like that.
Nothing wrong with that. That's when music was fucking good, if you
Yeah.
ask me, man. You know what I mean?
It's what it would have meant to be in a band back then. People actually gave a shit.
Right.
Now tell people you're in a band, they just look at you like, oh, great, another loser,
Right?
In most places I've worked in that, they just like don't really take it seriously that,
Yeah.
what I do.
Yeah, yeah.
Try to tell them about it, and it's just, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Heavy like what? Like Metallica?
Like, yeah, usually I've had people in the office when I used to work in IT, they'd like send me an article about Motley Crue,
Right.
Metallica.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Do you ever send them articles from the shit you actually like?
Yeah.
This is more my speed. What is this? And they're fucking listening to it all like, Jesus, dude, I didn't know you were into that stuff. That's kind of how the death metal stuff has always been perceived by anyone that I worked with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're just like, heavy like Metallica or Megadeth or something? No, heavier than that. Oh, heavier than that. Well, you do that shit where you can't understand what you're saying, and you're like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, pretty much.
I mean, even they can put thrash metal in that same category.
Right.
And yeah, I've never really been much of a death metal person. I mean, I like some of the really early stuff.
Sure. Yep.
The early 90s.
Yep.
But I don't know, it just was kind of more of the same.
Yeah.
I'm stuck into that, the 80s
Yeah.
rut,
Yeah.
Still-
Nothing
still-
wrong with that, man.
Still listen to Motorhead on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
And most people really don't probably get into that much anymore,
Yeah, I was playing, do this virtual VR poker shit. Like, I've just been addicted to the shit, And there was a guy who made his avatar that looked like Lemmy, He just sitting there, and he didn't have, I'm looking at him, and he's just kind of like, he's got the long hair, and he's got the mustache and the fucking cowboy hat and everything. And I'm like, I'm going through the store, like buying cigarettes and throwing them at him. Like, all right, man, if you're going to be Lemmy, you got to smoke a cigarette, man, buying him beers and shit and sending them over to him. Just, you got to be Lemmy. If you're going to be Lemmy, you got to be Lemmy, Some European guy just,
Yeah.
thumbs up, it's pretty awesome. Yeah, hell yeah. Now, after the, the D band, you get
Detroitus.
Detroitus.
Yeah.
Now, after that, where did you go from that band?
Yeah, so that broke up, I think, 2014. We did a last show. And then me and the drummer, Dan, we played around with different stuff, and it was kind of the creation of Hill Crosses.
Sure. Now, where were you playing? What clubs were you playing at this time? Like, where were you trying to squeeze in at? What were some of the venues you were playing at
we
the
played
time?
typical Big V's. Or
Yep.
Midway, it's called now.
Yep.
I think we, a lot of that, and we played some weird club in like some part of Minneapolis. A really odd bill with
The Terminal Bar or something?
What was it?
The Terminal Bar?
No, a Terminal's another place we've played at.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy to get shows there.
Sure.
But yeah, like a lot of those venues closed by then.
Yeah.
Now, we used to play the Minnesota Music Cafe quite a bit.
On the weekdays?
On a Wednesday,
Yeah.
Johnny from Dawn of Valor, he had booking there on Wednesday, so we do the metal Wednesdays. We played there a lot. I mean, it's cool, big stage.
Yeah, it's a big
sound
stage.
system.
Awesome. Yeah, I was just over there for Endless Rain, one of their last shows,
yeah.
and it was fucking amazing. I really, really liked that room. I've seen some blues stuff there, and I really like the room too. It has a little dance floor where it's kind of inset in the ground, and then the stadium seating. As photography, man, I loved it because you could move around. You could be in the pit, getting the shots from underneath, and around the side of the stage. I ninja'd up on the stage. It's a big fucking stage.
Yeah.
I never had a chance to play that stage, but man, it's a cool spot.
Yeah, they typically don't do a lot of metal there.
Yeah.
Once in a while, you'll see a Friday or something, but yeah, he was doing the Wednesday every week for quite a while.
Yeah. I'd seen a bunch of. I think they tried to get us on one of the shows over there on a Wednesday, and you know what I mean. I'm pretty old school when it comes to that shit, and I guess pretty spoiled to a degree as well. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I really played on weekday shows unless it was something big. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I typically don't like it either.
Yeah.
There's not enough time after work to get ready and feel comfortable.
Well, and try to get people to come out too. You know what I mean? It's difficult enough to have people come out, and then you put them on a weekday, and they're like, "Fuck, I got to get up for work," and you got to get up for work, and you know what I mean? It's always tough. But the last show that was over there, metal wise, was the Mirror of Being show with Den of Thieves, and I can't remember the whole bill, but they had like 165 or 170 people through the door, which is fucking amazing for a St. Paul venue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they did well over there. And I love the fact that they are like Lee's used to be, where, the band's working for the door. It's not like, you know what I mean, where you get into Minneapolis with several different clubs over there, First Avenue being one of those clubs, but they take a percentage of that door, and you don't get the full door. You can't split it with the bands. You know what I'm saying? Your payout is a lot less, which is kind of a drag, but I really enjoy that venue, and now they're doing it on the weekends, I'm not in the blues like circle, so I don't see what bands go in and out of that club, but it seems like there's so much potential with Station 4 being gone for so many years now. You've got Amsterdam, which is it's a beautiful club, but they don't cater to the local crowd very much, because they, you know what I mean, they want to sell fucking people, and they want to make money out of the place. And they've got high-end food and high-end drinks, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of one of those, it's not as scummy as I like. where Minnesota Music Cafe is kind of like in the middle of that, because it's nicer than the Station 4 used to be, right? It's nicer than Ryan's used to be. Stage is way bigger. I mean, roughly, you know what I mean? It's bigger.
A little bigger.
Taller. I like that, the fact that it's up higher, where you're kind of looking up at that's how I feel stages should be, you know what I mean? Like, you're watching a talent that's up, you know what I mean? They're doing their thing. They're on the pedestal, you know what I'm saying? And so it seems to me that the weekend shows could be really good there,
Yeah, I think they've in the past been hesitant just because of the draw.
Yeah.
Maybe on some of them they don't think it draws as much. But
Yeah.
They're used to having bands like West Side play there,
right?
That are drawing a huge crowd.
Right.
I actually have seen West Side there before.
Yeah. They're funky, right?
Yeah.
They play a bunch of old school like R&B and funk stuff, right? Yeah, I seen them at the Pain Reliever when I was fucking in my 20s, I think. 20, maybe 30.
Yeah, how long they've been around.
I've been 20. I would probably say mid-20s, yeah. Something like that. In the Pain Reliever, you know what I'm saying? Like the old strip club, which is now, what, North Star Bar? Is that what it is now?
I think so, yeah.
It's such a weird layout in that building. When you go in there, it doesn't remind me of the Pain Reliever,
I'm sure they've changed it quite a bit since then.
Yeah, have you been there for a show yet?
I've never been there. Isn't that kitty corner to the record store?
I don't know.
Cadence?
I don't know. I'm not sure. It could be. It's right on Payne there.
Yeah, Cadence has a stage. We played there once.
Yeah, I've seen that pop up a few times. I've never been over there for a show, but man, I missed. Did you ever get to play Northern Lights or any of them spots back in the day?
I always wish I did.
Yeah. Yeah, that was cool. I think we did one with Cromlech way back in the day in the Northern Lights on University.
Okay, yeah. And I was a big fan of the one in Hillcrest. I used to I lived down the street, so I used to go there every day.
Right. And that's where you got all the cool shit.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they had the stacks of used records. I could take $20 there and leave with a huge stack of records.
Right. Yeah.
That was great.
You still collect records?
I had a house fire in 2007.
Ooh.
So it pretty much destroyed all the records I have.
Right.
But recently, within the last couple of years, I have gotten back into vinyl.
Yeah.
But I'm more into kind of finding old, odd, vintage kind of stuff more than I am.
Dude, I found I found Deep Purple at the Cheapo right over here in Blaine.
Oh, cool.
And it was really weird because I'd heard it from my friend Ron Basquez, and it was like one of those Lelanias on there, and there's a few just some fucking cool jams on that album, man, you know. And I just started collecting vinyl again. I have a small collection in the corner over there, not very much stuff, but it was like, I'm going, man, I would really love to find that record. And I'm looking up on, I can't even remember, Gene Vogel gave me some sites to look on it, you know, and I'm looking at it. I think it was released in like 67 or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's pretty early.
And I was sitting in Cheapo going through the used shit, and I saw the cover, and it was like really weird because I was just going through really fast, and all of a sudden it was like click, it went by. I got about 10 records ahead, and I go, no fucking way, because it was like within a 2 to 3 week time frame to where I bought War God, which War album did I buy? All Day Music, I think I bought. And then I bought, I want to say about 2 War albums, and then a Hendrix album and a Robin Trower album. And then I was looking for that. I was like, fuck, I should look for that Deep Purple album. And I stumbled across it, man. It was fucking mint, you know what I mean? And I saw it. I go, no fucking way is that I come across that fucker, you know? Go back. It was like $10. I was like, holy shit, the thing's immaculate. I'm like, yep, that's mine. I'm out of here, you know?
Is that a vintage
Yeah,
copy of it?
yeah, I believe so.
It's good to find.
Yeah.
It's hard to find a lot of that stuff in decent condition.
Right. And I found Yes, Fragile was one that I bought right away. There was like a handful. Robin Trower, Bridge of Sighs, Jimi Hendrix Band of Gypsies, Jimi Hendrix Electric Ladyland, first pressing of Are You Experienced? I think that is a first pressing. It could be. It might be even a European copy of it. I got that one. Then I found that a couple more War albums, and I think Gene found Why Can't We Be Friends for me and bought it for me and gave it to me. And then he gave me Machine Head too, Deep Purple Machine Head. He had bought a copy of it, and it didn't work for his player for some odd reason, or he had got 2 of them or something. Gene has always been really cool like that. He's just giving me fucking, you know, vinyl that he had or you know.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah,
we were in, you know, Call to Arms together.
Yeah. How long did that project get to?
It was like a year and a half.
Yeah, that was
2010.
Okay.
Actually, that band went through a lot because originally it was a 12 gauge.
Yeah.
We changed the name, and then I ended up changing a lot of different people. It was when I decided I didn't want to sing anymore, so we ended up getting this singer. The guy seemed good from what I heard, but then once we actually started playing with him, he had a alcohol problem, drug problem.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff, and it's like, yeah.
It's a fucking crapshoot, dude, ain't it?
Yeah.
It's so difficult to find the right people to jam with, man. And you know, like a lot of people, you know, don't understand that it's such a, you know, you're basically getting into a relationship with these other people that you know what I mean? And I know back in the day, like you're probably like we were when we were coming up, we played, you know, 5-6 days a week. You know what I mean? We'd just go to the basement, play some shit, you know, write new tunes, you know, it was like every day we would try to play. And now, you know, the older you get, you know, so again, some people get into the drinking, some people get into the partying. So the music kind of, you know, yeah, it's cool to be in a band, but like their main focus is to go out and party. You know what I'm saying? And
seems a lot of it these days is just the shit from normal life.
Yeah.
You know, just the day-to-day stuff. You end up being really tired and just
don't have time for it.
Don't have time or too tired and working. I mean, any kind of job, whether it's in an office or whatever, it takes a lot of that creative juice away from you.
Yeah.
And it makes it hard on me. I'm not exactly in the mood to be writing songs after
Right.
working, coming home. I'm tired. I just want to plop in my chair and watch TV. You know?
Watch TV, fuck around, listen to tunes even, you know what I mean? Like that's always awesome. Hey, Craig Rosen's beard, how did I get here? I'm not even sure, buddy, how you got here. You stumbled across it. Craig Rosen has been on the show. Check out his episode. Look at the episodes on ritualmadnesspodcast.com. Thank you for joining us, Craig. Appreciate it very much. Let me actually pop this up because I've got a couple things. We were just talking about the Minnesota Music Cafe. Next Friday, Minnesota Music Cafe, as you can see on this flyer, doors are at 6, music is at 7, finishes at 11 p.m., 21 plus, $10 at the doors. Living Through Ghosts, Volsunga Saga, which is Matt Parkins, that bad motherfucker from Capitol Guitars, band over there. Sai Mathwa, one of my favorite local bands.
That's
and
how you say that.
Sai Mathwa, yeah, they always get that too. Like,
Yeah.
Sai Thoa or whatever. Yeah, they're a fantastic band. I've always pumped those guys up. And the flyer you're looking at too, that the bass player Justin did that flyer. It looks fantastic. Also, Blood War on that show. Again, that's next Friday, Minnesota Music Cafe. What is that fucking address? I can't see. I'm blind. 501 Payne Avenue is what it looks like in St. Paul. Doors are at 6, music at 7, finishes by 11 p.m. You'll be able to get back into your part of town, even to get a nightcap if you wanted to. 21 plus, $10 at the door. Again, Living Through Ghosts, Volsunga Saga, Sai Mathwa, and Blood War. Check it out. It's going to be a good show. I'm going to be at that show because I want to support that venue. That venue is fantastic. We were just talking about it. And I want them to do a lot more metal over there. I think it would be able to help those guys out. And St. Paul needs another club. Fuck's sake, man. I mean, Amsterdam is fantastic. I love the place. Don't get me wrong. It's a very cool spot. They've got cool beers. They got good food. Their food's fantastic. But it's not scummy enough for me. I just need a little dirt underneath my nails when I get into a metal show. You know what I'm saying? Also, Saturday, April 30th, this is our second show with Ritual Madness Podcast, the Metal Brigade, and Midwest Metal Promotions. The three of us coming together and doing some shows at Skyway Studio B. Saturday, April 30th, Deterioration album release show, Retaliatory Measures with Torment from Duluth, Hate Beast, and Annihilation Process. And I believe Annihilation Process is that's their first show. This is going to be a fantastic show. 18 plus 7 p.m. doors, 8 p.m. music, $10 in advance, 12 at the door. Get your tickets at skywaytheater.com. Skyway Theater, Studio B, 711 Hennepin Avenue in Minneapolis. Come check that out. It's going to be a fantastic show. Have you seen many shows at the Skyway yet?
I've never been there.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you ever go down there to see any shows? Any like movies from back when it was a movie theater?
I'm not much of a Minneapolis guy.
Yeah. Well, how come you just not a fan?
I mean, grew up in St. Paul.
Yeah. What part of St. Paul did you grow up in?
The eastern suburbs, basically.
Yeah.
I hung out a lot on the east side.
Yeah.
Back in the day,
Sure.
parties.
Right. Yeah. I got you, man. Yeah. Skyway Theater's got 5 fucking rooms in that building.
Oh, okay.
You know, and they're like, they get bigger as you go up, you know what I'm saying? But there's so much potential in that room. Unfortunately, it's been marred by like just issues with the EDM crowd, and like one of the bartenders was doing some shit there, like fucking, you know, and they found out and they ended up firing the guy. It's just bad rap, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I was reading about that.
Yeah, it fucking sucks, man. And you know, being able to book there is like, you know, it's a dream because you got a big venue downtown, and it's like you want to make the shit happen, and you know, the reputation's been tarnished by some fucking guy that has nothing to do with the metal scene. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like you're trying to dig out of the hole while you're trying to build something. You know, you're in a 10-foot hole and you're slowly building 5 feet at a time. You know what I mean?
It's kind of like that issue with the Red Sea.
Yeah,
back
dude.
in the day as well.
Yeah.
And we had played there because I assumed that guy wasn't there anymore. But
Yeah.
then I was told he was.
Yeah, just insane. Yeah, insane. Shortly after that, Tuesday, May 3rd, Skyway Theater, Studio B again. The Convalescence is coming and co-headlining a show with the Necronomicon. I cannot read this fucking name. I don't want to try. I don't want to butcher it. Reflections of the Flesh, Echoes of the Fallen. I'm really sorry, but I hate butchering people's names. And if I can't read your fucking logo, it's on me. You got a cool logo, but I can't read the shit. So I'm sorry. I did not announce your band. Again, the Convalescence, Necronomicon, Reflections of the Flesh, Echoes of the Fallen, and one other band that I can't fucking read your shit. Tuesday, May 3rd, Skyway Theater, 711 Hennepin Avenue, Minneapolis. Doors are at 6 p.m., 18 plus, $12 in advance, 15 at the door. Again, you can get tickets at skywaytheater.com. and then we'll go back. I'll just we'll kind of touch on these shows because there's a fucking 9 of them or something. So quite a few shows to promote. But yeah, I mean, so the Red Sea, that was one of those clubs that was intimate. It was small. The stage wasn't that bad, just a little off the ground. It wasn't bad. The room wasn't bad. But again, it was, you know, had a horrible reputation because of 2 people that were together as a couple that put the lady's kid in a fucking cage like a dog kennel or some shit.
Yeah, I mean, that was actually on the news and radio.
Yeah.
That was a very well-known thing going on in the Twin Cities. So.
But there were people in the music scene. I mean, you know, Tony Garfield's kind of a wild man anyway, but he's, you know, he's a protective dude as well. You know, if you're his friend, he'll fucking go to bat for you. You know what I mean? That he's like, but you know, he don't like fucking anything that has to do with child molestation or any of that shit. You know, a lot of us don't. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to tolerate that bullshit, you know? But anytime the Red Sea would come up, that Tony would be on a fucking tirade about that shit. You know what I mean? And a lot of people were. I mean, I definitely would try to shy people away from playing there. You know what I mean? And I always got the same thing. That guy's no longer there. He doesn't work there. Yeah. And you show up down there and he's running sound and running lights. You know what I mean? He's pretty fucking...
I think he was there the night that we played, so I assumed he was gone. But then I heard later that he was still associated with that. And it's, you know, I just don't play there again.
Right, right. Yeah, you know, and it's kind of one of the things about the music scene here is like, you know, you got bands that were that labeled that were hanging out with the wrong people. You know what I'm saying? Like some racist people or like people who had played in a racist band before because they were looking for people to play with. You know what I'm saying? And they just got sucked into that situation because these people were doing well in Europe or doing where, you know what I mean? And it was like, I know Station 4 was like that if you got on a bad list from people that worked there, same with First Avenue. If you got on a bad list from somebody, you know what I mean, from one of the workers or somebody found out you did something shitty to somebody, like you get canceled. And that was years ago. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, before the cancel culture really popped up real hardcore the way it has been in the last like 10 years. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you know what I mean? It's like people policing each other all the time. And I mean, you know, not giving opportunities to people, man. Now, have you fallen into any of them situations where you felt like you weren't given opportunities or?
Oh yeah,
like
I've been wanting to participate in a lot of things for years.
Sure.
I just feel like you know, I've been kind of kept down more or less. You know,
Right.
not really pick. I mean, once in a while we get something pretty good, but you know, it's just I've never actually opened for a national act.
Yeah.
Ever in my music career. At least anybody that was known.
Right.
I
Right.
did actually open for a couple of national acts, but they were, you know, real obscure ones that.
Like who? Anybody?
It was back, I think, 2007. A Merciless Death, I think they're called.
Right.
We did get on the show with Rising Fall.
Okay.
On that, but it wasn't a band that was real well known.
Right.
I was also in a band called Archangel.
Yeah.
I was the drummer.
Okay.
The last time I did play drums in any band. I think we got to open for Wednesday 13 at Station 4.
Okay.
I think Impaler was on that bill too.
I love that band. Wednesday 13 is a cool band. I like those guys.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't...
Not too bad.
Yeah, they were all right. It wasn't really my
Dirty,
style.
like, well, I mean, you know, they're kind of gothic fucking rock shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not. I mean, they're not like something that I would go to, but I've heard a few albums that I actually liked. Randall Grealish from Visual Addiction would play Wednesday 13 when we'd be down there working at the tattoo shop. You know, there's a few different bands that. God damn, the Mushroom River Band. You ever heard of that band?
Yeah, I have.
Wasn't that some guys from fucking Carcass? I want to say it's like a side project to them. That was another band.
Bill Steer.
Yeah, maybe.
One of those guys.
Maybe. One of those guys. He played some of that stuff for me that I'd never heard of. Ultra Spank was a band that he really liked, but then there was Low Pro was a side project band to that vocalist from Ultra Spank, and he turned me on to that stuff, and I really dug that stuff too. And some kind of weird shit that I never really, you know, figured that I would get into, and I ended up like, listen, what is this shit, man? I really like this, you know. Now, when you were coming up and trying to gig, where were some of your avenues for getting gigs? Like, what was the did you find it really difficult, like all the way through the times that you've been playing in bands and shit, just like trying to get into different clubs, getting
Pretty
in?
much. I mean, early on there wasn't that many clubs, and most of the time we played big parties.
Yeah.
And we'd play big parties on the east side. They would end up with 10 cop cars there to
Sure.
break it up and
Right.
that. Yeah, there wasn't much for clubs, at least for back then. We started back in 2002. That was really hard because
Yeah.
just because the music we played, nobody was really into that style
Right.
anymore. Things changed, within a few years after that. I think people were more getting into the old style.
Right. They just had enough of the fucking grunge
Yeah.
stuff and radio shit all
It
the time.
always cycles back. Things
Yeah, yeah.
always come back at
Yeah.
least for a while.
Sure.
It always kind of has.
Yeah.
But then after that, it wasn't too bad. Recently, it hasn't been bad to get on some bill. It's mostly whoever's got the gig in the first place, and
Right.
the band has asked us to
Right.
come on there. So
Now, have you found it? I've never had a problem with it, and I know a lot of people that have. Because I've always been a guy that fucking rub elbows with everybody. You know what I mean? Like, I always try to like just get in the mix with shit. You know what I mean? Like, I talk about it sometimes, like, and I'm really fortunate. I'm not going to say that I haven't been fucking lucky, really lucky. You know what I'm saying? Because I've rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. You know what I'm saying? In time of being in this music scene. You know what I'm saying? But like rubbing elbows with the radio people, I have no fucking idea how I ended up doing that. You know what I mean? Like, you play a few gigs and you meet other bands and like go to parties with those people. And I mean, you know what I mean? I don't know how we got so lucky, how we got so fortunate in getting some of the gigs that we did. I know Decker helped us get in get our foot in the door for many times with Lobotomy, with Necromus. I mean, and shit, there were years that I didn't even talk to Decker, but I was still getting gigs with the Sub-Level thing. And it was all kind of, the Red Sea coming. I never played Ryan's when I was coming up. Like, Necromus never played Ryan's. I never, even with Sub-Level, I never wanted to play Ryan's. I thought, fuck that place. It was old school to me, you know what I mean? Regime and Porcelain God. And I mean, and Avalanche. And those bands are all amazing. They were always amazing. I always looked up to those guys, but it was their home. You know what I mean? That was their spot, And I always felt like I was kind of intruding on that, or like I would never make it into that group, you know what I mean? And it was like I ended up coming back into Decker's good graces, I mean, whatever that's for, you know what I mean? But and becoming good friends with him for many years, but there was like a good stretch of time where we never talked, and we were still getting gigs, and it all started from Decker, you know what I mean? It was like he would put us on these shows, and I would try to talk to every fucking band and like try to network with everybody, you know what I mean? Like, hey man, I want to, let's swap shows, let's, you know what I mean? Did you find it difficult to do that stuff back then? Did you find it, tough to get to swap gigs with people or anything like that?
I'm kind of naturally introverted.
Sure.
And, a bit awkward, as you can see, but
I mean, we kind of all are at a point.
I mean, I just wasn't really one to end up trying to talk to everybody.
Sure.
Especially show, I
Yeah.
had to worry about my own
gear and shit.
gear
everything.
and all that.
Yeah.
And sometimes this show is not really almost the best place to really talk to somebody with
Sure.
all the noise and chaos going on.
Right.
It's kind of, it's difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you're laid back, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You kind of feel like you're, you know what I mean? You're forcing yourself on someone. It feels like, I feel like that now. You know what I mean? Like after all the years and being really kind of extroverted, you know what I mean? Like I've said this to people, like all of the partying that I did through all the years, I feel like made me more introverted to like kind of awkward. You know what I mean? Like it feels like
I think that comes with age too.
Yeah, maybe.
You get older and you just are sick of dealing with the bullshit and
Right.
just want to be left alone.
Right.
But yeah, it's hard. It's definitely a skill that I'm kind of lacking in that way.
Right.
And pretty much most people I've played with are kind of the same way. They're
Right.
not the most gregarious and that. So
Right.
it does make it hard.
Yeah, for sure. Now, we were talking off the air too with Hill Across's stuff that you did all the recording of this stuff too, right?
Yeah.
So now, when did you start like getting into this? I know back in the day we used to, take a boombox and fucking record all of our jam sessions. I think Jay Notabart's probably got 1 million Nick Chromas jams in his little basement. But when did you start recording your stuff? When did you start like putting things together, recording wise?
Pretty much early on. Like my brother was 8 years older than me, so he had equipment. He had a 4-track machine.
Nice.
So I got
cassette back then.
Yeah.
And then bouncing it back down to tracks too, right?
Yeah, we didn't do much of that. A lot of times it was, you used all 4 tracks. You had drums on 1, guitar on 2.
Yeah.
Sometimes you throw the bass on the drum track. And you have to switch tracks to put your leads and your vocals on there, but and just mix it down and
go from there.
Did a lot of that, and it was like once being able to record with the computer came out, I was like, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much stuff you can do and not in real time. Literally you can move things around anywhere you want. You don't have to be so precise at the same time.
Right.
So
like now with the old cassette stuff, I mean that was a hell of a learning curve, like trying to get that all figured out. Now, how about mic placement and everything with that like that? Did you learn that as like trial and error as you went along, or what?
Yeah, I mean my brother gave me a little bit of advice on how to do that, but yeah, a lot of trial and error.
Now was he recording his own projects, or did he have a solo thing that he was doing, or was he
was in several bands. I remember the band Assassin.
Oh yeah.
He was the singer.
Oh wow. Right on.
And then I don't know if you remember a project called THC.
I don't know.
He used to sell the cassettes at Northern Lights.
Okay.
That was something him and a drummer did.
Okay.
Did a couple of that. He was in some cover bands and ended up being in Archangel.
Oh, nice.
We did that for couple years and had a falling out.
Right.
And that, but yeah.
Nice. And then, so when did you pick up the digital side of it? I mean, like, I don't even I've never been into that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I remember recording on like an 8-track with the cassettes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Back in the day, I think our first lobotomy tape was done by a guy from North St. Paul, and I'm screaming in this guy's closet. You know what I mean? I got my lyrics taped up on the on the fucking coat rack, and then on the shelving that goes along in this little tiny 6 foot 200-pound kid. You know what I mean? Like in this fucking tiny room. And I remember screaming and having his mom and dad coming downstairs. And I always thought it was like this. You had to have all this crazy voodoo to be able to run all of that shit. You know what I mean? It seemed like a weird learning curve for me. You know what I mean? It was totally out of my realm. But where in time frame wise, like 8 tracks, 4-track, 8-track into the digital time, when did the fuck did that shit start coming around? 90s? End of the 90s or something?
Yeah, I think they started to develop some of that stuff, like probably early versions of Pro Tools and that. Sometime in the 90s, I believe.
Well, I mean, wasn't it like weird shit like Qbert or some shit? Cubase. And then it was like, there was a bunch of like, Pro Tools wasn't like the mainstay, right? There was a couple different ones that came in.
Yeah.
In the beginning,
if you were a Mac user, Logic.
Yeah.
But it just was pretty fascinating to be able to record it to a computer, then manipulate it, and move things around. It's just so easy to get things the way you want it. I mean, old school, using the 4-track or 8-track reel-to-reel, you gotta be spot on every time.
Right.
Now I couldn't see using something like that to record a whole album.
Right. Now back then. Now, when do you think that you started getting that gear to do that? Like what time frame?
Early 2000s.
Okay.
I finally had a computer that had the right stuff. Experimenting with just adding vocals to stuff and
sure
figuring out how to use the effects plugins.
Sure. Now how do they do as far as like interfaces? Now I know a lot of people use interface now to change the signal from from the computer to, or, from your analog, I guess your guitars and all of that shit into that interface to change it into digital to where you can do that. And now they bounce it back to the tube fucking shit here, there, and all these crazy plugins for it and all. I mean, it's Japanese to me. I have no fucking clue. I just stand there and go, all right, I see the WAV files. I see my shit going like that. You know what I mean? And the whole cut and paste thing is just,
it's
great,
honestly.
Yeah.
It saves me a lot of work.
Sure.
And instead of having to play in the same thing several times, I can just record it once and then move it around and place it wherever I need to.
You can adjust the time signature of it too, right?
Do a lot of things.
Yeah. Is that where what program are you using now?
In the past ones I've used something called Sonic Foundry Vegas.
Okay.
It's actually owned by Sony now, I think, but I got some really old software and plugins, and literally they're probably from the early 2000s. They still work.
Right.
So it's like I don't really pay anything to have to upgrade.
Right.
Actually, I did upgrade to the newer version of Vegas because I got it cheap.
Right.
But it seems like it's almost more for video. I mean, originally it's supposed to be for video, but it can be used pretty much for anything.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I've used Sony Vegas to edit some stuff.
Yeah.
And I like the software. Al Town was the guy who kind of turned me on it. He's an old school guy like us too. Back in his band Catharsis back in the day. And, it's just crazy to see guys like us that are still around. You know what I mean? I haven't played in a few years now, but it's, I'm still trying to book shows and do things like that and be a part of it.
Yeah, you're involved.
Yeah. Now I take a lot of enjoyment out of trying to help folks get where, get their foot in the door. You know what I'm saying? Like get a chance to play with those bigger bands, to get a chance to do something that people are out here doing more than we were when we were kids. You know what I mean? Like I have no idea how we got involved in it. Like I have no idea how I came across Don Decker. I have no idea how I played my first show at the Varsity Theater. I have no idea how I ended up at First Avenue or 7th Street Entry. And I remember being a kid walking down Hennepin and First Avenue and 7th Street right there, and just being deathly afraid of this music coming out of there and seeing these strange people. You know what I mean? I remember being a kid and being down there in the middle of all that shit, man. They had fucking pimps and hookers everywhere, you know what I mean? All kinds of shit. And it was like, I never imagined that I would be on. I never imagined I'd even be in a fucking band, you know what I mean? It was like the furthest thing from my mind. I loved music. I loved Kiss. I love things kind of fringy, you know what I mean? I loved rock and roll. My mom was into R&B. It was like, I kind of found this weird path, And, like being able to book shows for people, you know what I mean? I take a lot of fucking... like it feels good to me, man. You know what I mean? To let people be creative up there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's important, man. And a lot of these younger cats, man, the Agony Reigns and the Begravement and the Annihilation Process and, these bands that nobody's ever fucking heard of, but they're just incredibly talented, man. Way more talented than we were when we were kids. You know what I'm saying? I remember those Withrow Ballroom shows and just like, kind of giggling at, we were trying to do, you know what I mean? We were really fucking trying to do it, and seeing these kids now and how advanced they are and how fucking good they are, man. It's just like, whew, man, if we were doing what these kids are doing, back then, fucking, we would all been signed. You know what I'm saying? Like,
this is so much advancement from our time, things have changed a lot. And
yeah,
each generation inspires the next.
Yeah.
So
how do you keep inspired to do this stuff? You know what I mean? Like
it's mainly because I don't really do much else. I mean, it's like the only hobby I have.
Yeah.
Pretty much involves music,
Yeah.
messing with guitars and equipment. I mean, half the time I'm messing around with equipment more than I'm actually playing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Buying guitars and then it's, it's like, well, I bought another guitar. I'm just going to sit here and look at it.
Yeah.
Well,
now where did you transition back to guitar? Where did you transition back to the strings after playing drums for a few years?
When we started the band 12 Gauge, I actually was playing bass.
Oh, wow.
I let my former friend that was originally the bass player of Warhead, he started playing guitar. So we kind of switched roles.
Yeah.
just to see how that was. I like playing bass. It was fun. You know, I almost made it easier to sing and play that. And then we got to a certain point where his playing wasn't going to cut it as just a single guitar player.
Sure.
So I ended up going back to it, being a little more inspired, I guess.
Sure.
We found a bass player, and
what kind of guitars? What are some of your guns of choice? What are your favorite guitars that you've played through the years?
probably my favorite ones that I've had are Ibanez.
Yeah.
Usually the Floyd Rose. A lot of times I just block the Floyd because I'm not, doing a whole lot of that. And I feel too, if all else fails, it's like bang on it. I don't want to have to do that. I want to be able to play on the strings normally and not have to do every other bar dive and stuff. Just to have something to do.
And then have to retune everything.
Yeah, and they don't. I mean, they're good for the most part.
Sure.
Recently, I got a Flying V. It's basically a Chinese copy that I ordered, but I mean, it's really for Chinese. His workmanship is really good on it.
Pointy or round, like an old school V?
Yeah. Except for it's the body for some reason is kind of bigger. I couldn't get it to fit in any regular V cases.
Yeah.
Then I tricked it out. I put active pickups in it, and
you said when you buy the guitars, is that one of the things that most guitar players do is like, I'm going to switch this, I'm going to switch that.
Oh, I do that in every guitar.
Do you?
I always pretty much switch pickups.
Hot rod it out a little bit.
I use GFS pickups from Guitar Fetish.
Yeah.
I mean, they're cheap, but
They sound
what
good.
they are, they're pretty good.
Sure.
I don't like paying $100 for a pickup. That's insane.
What have you played through bass and guitar? What have you played through the years? What are some of the rigs you like to use or that you've used?
I've had all different kinds. I've tried. I've had a lot of PV stuff. The last head I had was a PV Triple X. I think something was kind of going on it, so I retubed it. It didn't sound right, so I sold it.
Yeah.
Recently, I just bought a Trainer, sort of like their version of a triple rack. It's got 3 channels.
Yeah.
Bought it on Reverb, but I found out the FX loop doesn't work on it, and there's a problem with the volume, so I had to take it in to get repaired. So I don't know when I'm going to get that back.
Yeah. Where'd you take it to get repaired?
I don't know if you know Russell Dufresne. He's from back in the day too.
Okay,
he was in like Model Children.
Okay.
Those alternative type of stuff. But yeah, he fixes amps. He's in Cottage Grove.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, it wasn't far from me. And
you live that way?
I'm in Prescott, Wisconsin.
Oh, nice.
So everybody thinks it's way in there, but I mean, it's just
No, it's just right before Hastings, right?
Yeah, it's right. It's border's pretty much on Cottage Grove.
Yeah.
There, so I mean, we're right across the border. Everybody thinks that they're driving halfway to Wisconsin. It's like, no, dude, it's like Hastings, Cottage Grove area.
Yeah. Well, it's like 45 minutes from here, 35 minutes.
Yeah.
From here,
I think that's been a sort of a thing too to try to get people to join up, is they don't want to drive that far.
Sure. Are you jam at your place?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have half the basement is like the practice room. Then I have an office that's doubles as like the studio room that's got all the recording equipment in it.
Nice. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, dude, we had a guy that would drive 2 hours to come practice.
Yeah, I've heard stories.
A couple times a week.
Actually, the drummer, Danny, he used to drive from Moose Lake.
Oh, wow.
Back when he lived up there.
Sure.
That's a long-ass drive.
Fuck yeah.
He made it. I was surprised.
Yeah, for the fucking love of the rock and roll.
A lot of times, too, you get people that join up, and then once they get that drive, it's just like, oh, God, I got to drive all these miles. And
Yeah.
It gets a little less enthusiastic as time goes on.
Yeah, I mean, if you can keep it active, you know what I mean? If you can keep it positive and keep it moving forward, that's kind of the issue, you know what I mean? Again, you get done with work and you don't really feel creative. You're like, fuck it. I think that's one of the worst things about society, if you ask me, you know what I mean? Because I know some really, really creative human beings, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, I feel like we waste so much time with shit that just doesn't matter. You know, you're obviously you're making a living for yourself. You're doing something. You're feeding your family. You're putting a roof over your head, obviously. But you spend more fucking time at work than you do with your own family most of the time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? 8 to 10 to 12 to 16 fucking hours a day people work. You know what I'm saying? And they don't get to see their family, and their relationships suffer. Their children grow up without their fucking mother or father because they're, you know what I'm saying? They like, you're giving your kids or whoever to a fucking daycare provider. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're learning these whatevers from somebody else. You know,
Stranger.
yeah, man. And I think it sucks being a creative person not being able to do. I think the older I got, the harder it was for me to be able to enjoy that time. You know what I'm saying? Like you get there and you're fucking run down and you're like, okay, let's run through the set. These are things that we already know, right? And then say you get there on a Saturday or a Sunday, you know what I'm saying? You have more time to be creative, but it just seems like you're forcing it a lot of times, And that kind of weighs on people when you're getting together too. It's like, okay, we're not being productive. We're just playing the same shit over and over again. And especially if you want to be a gigging band too, right? So you spend all this time writing all these tunes, you get enough for, a fucking EP, 5 songs. We'll say 5-6 songs. You get a half hour's worth of material, 15, 20 minutes, half hour, right? You make the shit, you record it, right? Or you got your own studio, you record it all there, you get everything pre-recorded or, pre-mixed down, all that shit, right? Record it all down, you get it laid out, you get everything, you press it or put it on fucking, social platforms or whatever, right? You put it out there. Somebody says, hey, man, you want to play this show? And you're like, yes. Get in the middle of that. Somebody likes that show. Somebody else offers you a show. Okay, you're into that. Now it's, now you're trying to squeeze in that time for creativity into those little fucking pockets. And you're trying to like build your name to get these other shows or to play for a national band. If you pay your dues, you get out there and you fucking don't make any fucking money. You know what I mean? You open up every damn show. You know what I'm saying? And it's like you get into that loop of play. That's where I think I fell apart in a lot of that too, man. Where I just like, fuck, we're not moving ahead. We're doing the same thing over and over again, and it's like, fuck. You just it becomes mundane. It's no fun anymore. You're not being creative.
Try. I got to figure out like, okay, when are we going to have time to record? We got gigs coming up. When are we going to be able to do all this? And
yeah, and I suppose hey, say you get new strings on a guitar and you're going to record, right? You record a few tunes, and then you got a fucking, you got a gig, right? So you got to tear everything down. Now your strings are getting worn because you're playing the gig. You're playing, a half hour, 45 minutes to an hour, whatever you do, Now you got to go back in the studio and try to recreate that sound that you just changed as you left it. You know what I'm saying?
I rarely change my strings.
Yeah.
Only if I break one. It's really, they're pretty good most of the time, It's a good thing to kind of, clean off the fretboard when you're done playing. I'm guilty of not doing that, I guess, sometimes. But,
yeah.
I don't change strings much, especially on my guitars that are Floyd Rose. It's such a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And I finally gotten to the point that I know how to set one up pretty good.
Yeah. How long did that take you before you were doing it on your own?
It's just trial and error.
Yeah.
And then I seen a video on YouTube, and the guy that made sense the way he, put it together and how to do it. And ever since then, I'm actually pretty good at it.
Dude, that's how I started this podcast. I was like, I want to do this, you know what I mean? And I had all the equipment. I had a fucking microphones, I had mixing boards, I had all the shit, you know what I mean? And like even the little pieces, like I've gone through, power adapters and, power conditioners and fucking headphone amps and fucking, processors and different boards. I mean, I started with a Mackie, I went to a Yamaha, went to a Zoom thing. I did a bunch of different Zoom pieces. I probably have 4 different Zoom recorders that I could just prop up in a room somewhere and record good sounding shit, But it was like YouTube was the shit. I mean, that was, when you're looking for something, you know what I mean? And you want to learn how to do something. It was like, somebody said, YouTube University, dude, just go there and fucking research it. I learned how to make a website. My website's not super flashy. It's not fucking, bells and whistles every which way, but it works. You know what I mean? It's a website that I can put all my stuff at, and you know what I mean? Like the YouTube thing, that took me a little bit to figure that shit out.
I've learned so much from just YouTube
Yeah.
videos and how to fix appliances and work on my car. And sometimes I need it. I'm a maintenance guy for assisted living group of houses. And a lot of times it's, I don't know. I've never seen that before, especially with appliances. Yeah. You know, and it's usually pretty good information on how to do it. At least figure it out.
Now, with your recording stuff, have you looked things up on there how to get
a few things here and there? Yeah. A lot of it's really, especially when it comes to Windows stuff, it's pretty, you can pretty much just kind of play with it and figure out how it works before you do anything serious.
Yeah. Will Maravellis is the guy that pushed me towards Reaper. I was like, dude, what's a good DOS that I can, you know what I mean? What's a good recording? He's like, Audacity's always one to start out in, you know. No, he never said that. He didn't say that. I said, well, I've used Audacity before. That was one that I found, and it was like, it's fucking quirky. It was weird.
Yeah.
I always had issues with it, you know. But then he turned me on to Reaper, you know, the free software that really can compete with a lot of things. You know what I mean? You can do a lot of shit on Reaper.
And that's free, isn't it?
Yeah.
Open source.
Yeah, open source, and they want you to donate, obviously, but you know, there's a lot of things you can do on that thing. It's pretty much like Pro Tools, you know, for the most part. You know,
people that have recorded whole albums on
Reaper.
On Reaper,
yeah,
especially Mac guys.
Yeah,
I'm not a Mac guy, so
yeah. You're all straight Windows.
All PC, yeah. I went to school for computers.
Yeah,
back in the early 2000s. So it was all PC.
Yeah.
I think I've played with a Mac once, maybe.
Yeah. It's odd.
Yeah. Oh, it wasn't bad. I could learn it if I had more time.
Sure.
But it's just
and like $3,000 to buy one of their computers.
And everything is so proprietary on there too. It's only for Mac.
Yeah. That's tough too, you know what I mean? And they've got some cool fucking shit on there too, you know what I mean? Like their video programs are just amazing.
Yeah, they're generally more stable than Though Windows has come a long way. I mean, it's I remember trying to do music on Windows 98.
Yeah.
Having the damn thing crash like
mid-project and nothing's saved. Yeah, I've done that.
I still have that happen once in a great while. End up losing a couple tracks. I'll have to try to see if there's a recovery or something for them.
Yeah.
I have to re-record it.
You're just frustrated, fucking beat right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I got into the habit of trying to save.
Yeah, now it's like I save after every so many actions, like I added a plug-in to WAV file or whatever, save that fucker right away.
Yeah.
You end up losing it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the thing, man. So like when you started recording things, like how long did it take you to start getting the gist of all of that stuff? Was it a good little while or what? I mean, when you're doing the digital stuff, there's so much to it, man.
Pretty quickly, really.
Really,
I mean, a lot of the programs are pretty intuitive.
Really.
Yeah, it's really didn't seem like much of a problem.
I mean, even with the Hill Across stuff that you did, I mean, there's a lot of good pieces that you can tell that you know what I mean? It wasn't just a live track. Like you added stuff.
Oh yeah. It's all
layered
guys to the max.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of times like with that, I did a reamping.
Yeah.
With that on both guitar and bass.
Yeah.
And bass, literally when I did it, I did like a clean one. And they had a distorted one and then one going through an amp.
Yeah.
So I could kind of mix them all together and get kind of a sound. One actually I think was a distorted track running through an overdrive.
Right.
So
just to give it a little more
depending on the song, I could kind of mix in what out of the three what I wanted.
Yeah. And
then like guitar, I recorded a clean track for the reamping along with from the sound coming from a Marshall combo.
Okay.
And then I ran that through my main rig when I reamped it.
Nice.
So yeah, you're kind of getting a combination of
little tricks of the trade there. You know. I mean, are you still recording stuff? I mean, you know, if you come up with the riff, you just fucking lay it down just to have it, or what?
Yeah, I use like you were saying, one of those little like a little task amp thing I put next to my practice amp and
just go from
turn
there.
it on. And I'll just record whatever I play, and then later I'll go back and pick parts of it out.
Yeah. When do riffs hit you the most? When do you feel like maybe a listening session is something you're listening to and you just kind of come up with something, or how does it come? How do your ideas come to you when you feel like writing, when you're like, fucking, I got to write it to?
Just playing around, basically, like with the guitar stuff.
Yeah.
It's just, if I don't record it, I lose a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
There's some stuff that I've been playing. Like, this is really good. I'll remember it. I don't remember.
How did that go?
Yeah, I don't remember it. And a lot of times, too, I do record it. I can't remember exactly how I played it.
Right.
Or I end up changing it. So, it's a lot of things.
Yeah.
Lyrics, that's something that doesn't come that natural to me.
Yeah.
It takes me a long time to.
Sure.
And that's usually the last thing I do is write the lyrics. And
Yeah.
that. And a lot of times I'm not very satisfied with what
You're
I have. But it ends up working out in the end anyway.
Sure. Now, structurally, like when you're writing riffs and shit, and you're putting it together as a structure, do you think about where you're gonna put the length for vocals? Do you keep your times, sections? Do you keep those open for you to sing on things, or you're able to...
And, it's usually the riff that I'm playing, and when parts where I got to sing, the riff's got to be a little simpler than other parts of the song to be able to sing and play.
Right.
And I've surprised myself on some of the stuff I've been able to sing and play. It's like, how do I even do that? Fucked up.
Yeah, I've always been baffled by people that can do that shit, man. They're doing a different...
I never really practice it, too.
Yeah.
First time we ever played in front of people, I just did it.
Yeah.
We didn't have a PA system or anything years ago back then, and just did it. And it worked.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
That's fucking awesome. Yeah, I know a lot of people that have had, they're more focused on what their hands are doing than being able to belt it all out, or they're like looking at their hands and they're trying to sing,
I did enjoy, Call to Arms, and we had Gene as the singer, so I just kind of got to sit back and play guitar, and that was refreshing.
Yeah.
Change.
Yeah.
I've never really wanted to be a singer to begin with. A lot of people have told me I suck. But, then I've had a lot of people
me too, man.
tell me I'm really good, so I don't know who to believe, but maybe someday I'd like to just play guitar, and I don't consider myself particularly good front man. I'm not. Yeah. I don't really have the
fuck you.
The gift of gab. Yeah. I'm just so afraid of just looking stupid or saying something really fucking stupid. Because what's funny to me isn't always funny to other people.
Yeah.
And
oh, I know. I for my own experiences, I know. I've said some just ridiculous shit, and people videotape it, or with phones now. You see people with their phone recording your shit, and I've said some just ridiculous stuff that I'm like, oh my god, why did you record that?
People in the audience with the deer in the headlights thing going on. Like, what's that?
Yeah.
That was supposed to be funny. Laugh.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah. You make them uncomfortable too. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're more uncomfortable. Like, is he uncomfortable? Because I'm uncomfortable. You're just like, fucking laugh. It was supposed to be funny. They're like, no.
That was great being in the band with Gene as the lead singer, because he was great on stage.
Yeah.
He was good with a joke and that kind of stuff. Me, I just deer in the headlights.
Yeah.
What do I say?
Yeah. I know a lot of people like that, man. It is uncomfortable. Dude, I don't know how I've done it for so many years. Honestly, I don't know. I'm a goofy fuck, I guess. It's just like, you just do it.
This is just how much you really care,
about
what people hear you say.
Sure.
And I always think I'm sounding stupid, so I tend to just kind of keep my mouth shut.
Right.
This next one, song title.
Right. Yeah, that was always the thing for me too, because you want to talk to people, but you're trying to, you know what I mean? This next one,
this next one.
What the fuck was this called?
One.
Yeah.
Paul Bailoff.
Right. Yeah. Well, like lyrically, where do you draw from? Like, is it always a story? Is it always metaphorical? Is it like what bands that you listen to inspire or give you guidance when it comes to writing lyrics?
Probably more of the punk bands, punk and hardcore, more sort of political. A lot of stuff I write about is just general life.
Sure.
Having to get up in the morning, go to a stupid job, come home with no energy.
Yeah.
And I got depression and anxiety as well, so it's like there's a lot of times where I'm just, I don't feel like doing shit.
Right.
I just kind of sit in my chair and I don't.
I think that comes along with age too.
Yeah, it's just life. It grinds you down, even just doing the simplest shit.
Hell yeah.
And just going to the goddamn store and coming back is just a major fucking fiasco.
Yeah. How do you feel after this whole pandemic thing? How did that affect you?
It didn't affect me that much because I don't really go anywhere.
Right. You just stay to yourself and do your thing. And
yeah, pretty much. It didn't really affect me. And I didn't have COVID till way later on.
Yeah.
I had it back in December, the Omicron strain. So
Sure.
it really didn't do much.
Right.
My wife had it kind of early on. I quarantined with her for like 10, 12 days. I never picked it up.
Wow.
So, which is weird.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, I kind of felt the same way, like when it hit, because like Lee's had come to an end for me, and I wasn't really doing the podcast a whole bunch, and I quit the band. And it was one of those things where I was just trying to stay away from people anyway because of the political climate, basically. I fucking can't stand politics. I can't stand religion. I can't stand, and it's not that I don't want people to enjoy that shit. You know what I mean? You love politics and you want to be an asshole to people, go ahead. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? But I don't want to be bothered with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So a lot of times when it came to even being on Facebook, like you just scrolling going, oh, this is just fucking toxic garbage of people that were friends at one time say something wrong and then 20 people gang pile on this person and then they're ostracized from something or, you know what I mean, condemned for whatever they said about something that doesn't really fucking matter. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, and politics can tear people apart.
Yeah.
I had one guy that was I played with from back in the day and was my best friend for a long time. And then, it was partially over politics. We had a falling out, and it's been over 10 years since I've really talked to him.
Right.
It's
a damn shame. It's a damn shame. I know a lot of people, I never voiced my opinion on politics. You know what I mean? I never really voiced my opinion on how ridiculous I think people are and how on either side, you know what I'm saying? Like you want to see people fight for the good of humanity, right? And sometimes it crosses lines on either side of that. You know what I'm saying?
It becomes a pissing match.
Yes, it does. Like this person did this because of this, and you know what I mean? But yet sometimes economically it would help out with a lot of things that people do. You know what I'm saying? But yes, humanitarian, like moral things that people do sometimes, you're just like, what the fuck? You're behind this guy 1 minute and then you want to kill the guy the next minute. You know what I'm saying? And it goes for either side. That's the thing is like, you have people attacking each other over things that really don't mean shit in the long, you know what I mean? In the grand scheme of things, you can say what you believe in all fucking day long, but when you're with somebody and you're chewing the same shit as them every day at work, you know what I mean? Like, there are guys where I just look at them and go, are you serious right now? Like, are you serious about that shit? You believe in it that much that you would go to blows with someone, someone that you've known for years over it. Yeah, I don't even know you anymore. You know what I mean? This is it. Fuck you, dude. You know what I mean? Like, they just go off the deep end, man. And it's like, that whole time frame, man, the like 3 years before the pandemic, I mean, I was slowly weeding, like, fuck everybody, man. This is ridiculous. To where musicians were attacking each other, artists were attacking each other in the scene. You know what I mean? It was just like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, aren't we doing the same thing? Like, trying to be productive in this music scene, and it's just. I had to stay away from it.
Yeah.
So when the pandemic came, man, I was just like you. I was just kind of like, it was like almost like a breath of fresh air. Now everybody had to stay away from each other. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't have to go to the show and have to worry about my friends fighting with each other over fucking something that somebody said politically,
That was a weird time too, because I had right sort of when COVID was coming on, I had gotten fired from my job.
Yeah.
And then I was shortly after that, there was the riots
Yeah.
going on and that. So that was a pretty I wasn't working, so I was watching a lot of this shit on TV going on, and it's like, whoa,
it gets to you.
Yeah. I mean, I'm political, but I don't like arguing about it. I got how I feel on certain things. If people don't like it, fuck off.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to go around and...
I'm always the guy that like, hey, man, you are entitled to your opinion. You know what I mean? Like, if I don't agree with it, I can just say I don't agree with it. It doesn't mean that I don't like you. You know what I mean? Unless you're like that guy who's trying to hit me upside the head with a Bible. You know what I mean? Like... My mother's like that. I love my mother. Obviously, you're going to love your mother, right? But my mom is like really religious and has been for many, many years. And I told her, I was like, listen, it gives you strength. I appreciate that. I want you to have that strength. You know what I mean? I want you to believe that you can take the pains of your life or what your past transgressions in life or whatever it is, and you can put it on this fictitious character. You know what I mean? That if you don't do this thing or you do these things that he doesn't agree with, you're going to go to this fiery hellstorm. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things where I've always been like, I don't get it. You know what I mean? Why is it so important to you? Why is it so, why is it? So I stopped smoking the other day. You still smoking? You're still doing that, huh? You know what I mean? That where the people got to force their fucking lifestyle on you because they just found this. Like, I found God, and you know what I mean? I started going to church. I stopped playing metal. Why? You know what I mean? Metal's it's a release.
Dave Mustaine still plays metal, and he's a kind of a Bible banger.
Well, there you go. You know what I mean? Like, you can do this. You can do these things together. They can coexist, man.
Some of these people,
right, man. You know that you can coexist doing these things, and it has always baffled me that how people want to I hate going back to religion on this thing, but it's like. These people that are supposed to be so high and mighty and religious, right, are the most judgmental, damning people in the whole world. It was like us being long hairs as kids. You know what I mean? Like, I can't grow long hair now, but I'm saying, like, I remember when it wasn't okay to have long hair. Like, you couldn't find a job. You couldn't, you know what I mean? And then tattoos were the same way. It's like you couldn't get tattooed below a certain point. You'd have to keep it above your, above your fucking shirt line and shit. Now everybody and their grandma, and literally their fucking grandmas are getting tattooed.
Some
you know
of
what
these
I'm
younger
saying?
guys, you don't know how good you have it.
Yeah. No clue.
Yeah.
No clue.
It was a fight for anything, even, being at school and having long hair, being in the metal, getting harassed by people.
Yeah. All the fucking jocks.
Yeah.
And see, that was the thing is I was like part jock, part metalhead because I played football, you know what I mean? And like all these hockey fucking goons and all these, and I call them goons now because that's how they fucking acted back then. You know what I mean? They're like short-sighted morons. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't get why you wear fucking your hair in a mohawk or fucking long hair. Like, you look like a fucking girl. They'd always torment these people. And I was always a big kid. So I was like, you're not going to do that shit to me. And you're not going to do it to my friends. So all like my long-haired friends, they hung out with me because nobody would fuck with them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember punching a fucking state wrestler in the fucking mouth and giving him stitches in his mouth because he was beating up a long-haired friend of mine. I was like, do that to somebody who can actually kick your ass, I'm not afraid of you. I'm not afraid of you. And then you punch the shit out of them. And you know what I mean? Like, those people who thought they could fuck with those people, you know what I mean? No longer did because I was there to fucking equalize it. Because I was on their football team, you know what I'm saying? I played with them right next to them. They were afraid of me because I didn't give a fuck what they thought. You know what I mean? Like, I made it a point to do that.
Yeah. And that was the type of thing, too, where they go, oh, Metallica's okay at that fucking Slayer. Yeah.
But dude, this is something that I've said on this podcast a million fucking times. It's like Metallica was one of the best thrash bands that I had ever come across as a kid. They were like the mecca for me. I fucking love Metallica. When it got to the Black Album, I was like, after Injustice for All, I was like, oh, I hated the Black. I fucking hated it. And this is why. The music wasn't bad. It wasn't a horrible album. It was a solid album, right? It was no Injustice for me. Injustice was the pinnacle of where they were at. There was no bass on the fucking album, but musically and what they wrote was just bar none. They were ahead of their game from that fucking album. Once it got to the Black Album, all those assholes that fucking hated Metallica and all the thrash and all the shit that they just fucking pissed on all of us for, all of a sudden, the Black Album was their favorite fucking album. I remember seeing the Metallica at fucking Float Right with Danzig, Suicidal Tendencies. You're at that one too, where fucking Mike Muir played the whole set on the fucking couch. Yeah. Dude, you know how many fucking meathead jocks came up to me at that fucking show that I knew from White Bear Lake, dude, when I was a kid? And I looked at them like, you fucking pieces of shit. Like, fuck you, dude. I've been doing this shit for years before this fucking album came out, man. Fuck off, dude. Now all of a sudden you adapted this heavy metal lifestyle? Get the fuck out of here, mullet. Get out of here, man. It was so ridiculous to me. You know what I'm saying? It's like, ugh.
A lot of stuff was going kind of mainstream back then. Yeah. They were getting radio play. So a lot of other bands kind of followed suit, and you had albums like By Testament and Suicidal Tendencies that they were getting radio play because they sort of toned it down a little bit.
Yeah.
And a lot of people blame grunge for kind of the end
It did.
of things, but a little bit. I think that maybe they lost a lot of their fan base, some of these bands, by going a little bit more commercial.
Right.
That sort of turned me off on a lot of that.
They were trying to like flex or basically kind of meld with what was going on in
sort of,
to
try to get radio play, and I think that's along with the rise of hip hop.
Yeah.
Of course, at that same time.
Right.
That's what kind of drove metal underground for the most part.
Right.
I mean, I was pretty out of the loop back in the mid '90s as far as metal.
Right.
Because it just really wasn't any of it.
Sure. Sure.
It wasn't much. I mean, Pantera did pretty well at that
time. They stayed their fucking course. They never changed the entire. I mean, they changed from the early hair band stuff into the heavier stuff.
I just think they had maybe a broader appeal than a lot of other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
They were able to ride that period out and did pretty well. But a lot of other bands broke up.
Yeah.
And reformed later on when the climate was better for our kind of music.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of them fucking Mordred. Do you remember Mordred? Yep. They just played a show in Milwaukee fucking 2 weekends ago, whatever. You know what I mean? Violence came back. I mean, they weren't around for a long time, dude. You know what I mean? And then, I mean, there's a fucking ton of old bands. I just seen a thing in my feed yesterday from Zentrix. You remember that band? That was fucking awesome fucking thrash band. There's just a ton of different shit.
One of the few thrash from the UK at that time. You really didn't have much coming out of the UK.
Right.
During that period.
Right. I mean, there are bands like Sodom. I loved Sodom back in the day.
Probably one of my favorite of the thrash.
Yeah.
I like German thrash.
Yeah.
Creator. One of my
Creator
favorites.
For sure, man. That was right around that same time. I think that we were Extreme Aggression when that came out, man. That was one of my favorite albums. But back when we were kind of coming up, you know what I mean? When we were playing those Battle of the Bands and, like the fucking Withrow and all that weird shit. But those were the bands we were listening to back then. And, we got into, like, I didn't want to do death metal vocals when I started, that wasn't the thing I wanted. I loved DRI. I loved fucking Crumbsuckers. I loved Atrophy and Forced Entry and like all these thrash bands, and Sacred Reich was a big band that I loved, and it's like that's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to fucking, you know what I mean? That was dude. I heard Obituary for the first time on Slowly We Rot. I traded Flotsam and Jetsam, No Place for Disgrace, for Obituary, Slowly We Rot. And I put it in, dude, and I flipped it right out and fucking put it in its case and threw it in a fucking box. I was like, I don't ever want to hear that shit. You know what I mean? And then fast forward a couple years, and then I hear Death, Leprosy, or Scream Bloody Gore, and then Leprosy. And then, you know what I mean? Like, I grew more with that band than I did death metal wise. And then went back to Obituary when Cause of Death came out, and when the first Deicide came out, and Malevolent Creation, which we just booked at the Skyway. You know what I mean? Like, that old death metal shit was my thing, because it was like just a leap over from the thrash I was into. A little bit.
It wasn't that much of an extreme jump from Slayer or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I really liked that first Deicide album and the first Morbid Angel album.
Yeah,
I liked those when they came out.
Yeah.
It's just when stuff started getting more extreme.
Sure.
And that it just kind of.
Yeah.
It just didn't seem like the songs were there.
Yeah.
I like songs. I like something I can remember, and a lot of it just kind of,
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's that and that, again, that's where we all fell into different styles, and I mean, that's what I loved about the old scene back then, is because there were a lot of bands like Epitaph and fucking, Porcelain God and Avalanche and Regime was on one spectrum, and then you had Necromus and fucking, Cromlech and, Horror and Neurotoxin and like more extreme death metal bands, and Anal Blast kind of formed out of that whole thing. And I mean, there were so many bands back then. I'm an old burnout, so a lot of that shit kind of slips by me. But
a lot of that stuff I heard from Earl, because you'd play everything you'd send them, and we got a lot of play on the route back then.
Yeah, You could just fucking call them up. That was
Yeah.
the coolest thing about it to me, was like you could call them up and go, you know, you do the gore check and he'd pull you, you know, off the thing and
Yeah.
go, hey man, we're releasing, we're releasing something. Can we come down? Or can, you know, and he'd ask you to come down. I fucking loved Earl so much. My liberal Christian mom just told me, you can still smoke pot and come back to the Lord, trying to get me to convert. She can't understand why I renounced my Savior in 03. I understand that. I'm digging the really speak tonight. Oh, I hope that I'm reading that right. I'm fucking blind, dude. I'm gonna need glasses in the next like year or two, dude. My eyes are slow. This one's worse than this one is.
Yeah.
I just fucking tested myself at the doctor. Went with my daughter to the doctor, and she's like, okay. Well, she stood far away from pointing it at it. You know what I mean? And my one eye is fucking blurry as hell, and the other one. Once I open up the other one, they kind of focus. But man. Yes, I agree. Thank you, Cindy, for joining us on the podcast. I really appreciate you joining in the chat. I totally feel the same way with that. It's kind of one of those things when it comes to religion. It's you know, I mean, you deal with so much of the negative of it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, being in metal bands, I always was never like anti-religion. I guess I was like, always saw the paradoxical thing in it. You know what I mean? Like, you can't, this is something that I told my daughter and my wife about. When you look at a yin and a yang, right? It's like a fucking wave, right? The black has a white circle in the middle of it. The white has a black circle. You know, that's the paradox right there. There's no good without evil. There's no evil without good, right? If everything's all good, everything's just good, right? You can have good people that have negative tendencies, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's the paradox of everything, has always been my go-to when it comes to music. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times when I would express the music that we listen to or talk about the bands, like Cannibal Corpse, okay? You see the cover of it, it's murder and fucking blood and gore, right? You see Carcass, you know what I mean? You see, and that was all because they were vegan or, you know, vegetarians, you know what I mean? The meat and the gore and all the shit that they showed, it was like a kind of like a paradox there. Like they wanted you to see how disgusting it really was, you know what I'm saying? Where they didn't believe in any of that shit, you know what I'm saying? That's where I always thought it was. Like, it was always, you know, taking everything negative that I had in my life, twisting it up and making it into something positive as I was projecting it. You know what I'm saying? Like, Brian Owens said to me, he's like, you're the only death metal singer that I knew that could break dance while he's doing death metal beats, you know? And that was true. That's why I tried to do it, because I wanted to have fun with it, man. I wanted people not to take it so fucking serious all the time.
They do.
Yeah. They really do, and it makes it more comical for me, because it's like, dude, you're not that fucking heavy. You're not that hard. You're not, you know. You see bands like Watain, you know what I mean, where they're like black metal fucking, you know. You hear stories that they bring rotting fucking flesh with them and smell the whole building up so they can feel that evil dirtiness, you know. So crazy to me, you know what I mean, when you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, some of them are real believers in that, but most of the shit's just blowing smoke, basically.
Yeah.
It's just
the gimmick of it all.
I mean, it's like considering even deicide on some of the stuff.
Yeah.
Some of like the Scandinavian black metal people, they didn't like Glenn very much for some
No,
reason.
because he's a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
He's a complete prick. Dude, I partied with him. I've hung with him. He's threatened me, and I laughed at him like, dude, come on, man. You're in my fucking town. You think that you're going to threaten me? I'm way bigger than you are. I will smash the shit out of you. You know what I mean? That type of shit. I laughed at him, you know, and doing drugs with him, partying with him and shit. You know what I mean? Like, I was warned about that cat right away from the beginning. I met him we played with him at the Milwaukee Metal Fest. I met him way back in the day when they first, you know, that first album, you know what I'm saying? And you're afraid of the fucking guy. Who's going to burn a fucking upside down cross into their forehead, you know, 20 times or however long it got, you know? That's fear. You're like, holy shit, man. It's like all the people that got so scared about Marilyn Manson, you know what I'm saying? It's like, this dude is a fucking, he's an emo kid, you know, he's like a fucking goth kid that, you know,
he's complete,
used it to is an advantage, a scare tactic, you know what I mean? Like Satan, this whole thing about Satan, it's you know, you are fed to believe this religious thing, you know what I mean? And your entire upbringing, you know, if you have old school parents, old school grandparents, you know, you growing up Catholic or Lutheran, you know, when I was a kid, it's like they beat you with that shit. You know, you wanted to know what was mortally wrong and where you were going if you did this and, you know, had sex out of wedlock and all this dumb shit. You know what I mean? And later on, you find out that they have extra kids that, you know, were in Germany or some shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's hypocrisy, man. It's insane, you know?
It's like my parents, it was never necessarily like the Satan thing or any of that, but it was more like, oh, you're going to be like your brother and do drugs.
Yeah, yeah.
You can't go to this concert because you're going to do drugs.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
You know,
you never really were one of those cats to do that.
Not back then. No,
Yeah.
I did a lot of stuff in the 90s.
Did you?
Yeah.
Just partying?
Yeah.
Didn't we all, buddy? Didn't we all? Yeah.
But I did. It wasn't that long of a period. I kind of got away from it. And
you're one of the lucky ones, dude. Honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, there was, you know, I went to, you know, like I said, I was fucking sick for the last 3 weeks, dude. You know. And I went to the doctor and I was telling her, you know, I was like, I go, you know, I used to smoke 2 packs a day. I was like, that's not the problem, though, as I used to do cocaine for about 15, 20 years, you know? Like, I got into it and I never wanted to ever do the shit, you know what I mean? I saw people totally fuck themselves up on the shit. I thought, there's no way in hell that this shit's ever going to get me. And, you know, money, that's what it was. As I was selling it and making money off of it, and I had it for free. So it was like, the money was great. Right? I was able to do whatever the hell I wanted. I could play in a band and not work because I had money to do it. Right? And then once it got a hold of me because it was free, I wasn't paying thousands of dollars to do the shit, but I had a habit of multiple grams to sometimes half ounces, quarter ounces of on a weekend. You know what I mean? And everybody came with me. I got everybody high, you know, and that's where I had all these fucking friends and all these people that, hey, it's Greg. Yeah. And then once I got caught, and once I got caught up in the whole drama of it all and went to jail and all the shit, all those people were gone.
Yep, exactly. It's back when I used to do it. I was really into meth for a while.
Yeah.
Back in the mid 90s.
Yeah.
And kind of once I got away from that, it's the phone stopped, you know, rang less and less.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm really barely friends with anybody from that whole group, you know. It was more about the drugs than anything. And that's actually what killed my brother. He overdosed on meth after being using it for 10 straight years and just pounding and pounding. And his heart just gave out. And
Dude, there's many times where I sat in a room by myself, you know what I mean? I had partied all night with some other friends and girls and whatever, and craziness, you know, and then going home and the party just doesn't stop because you just can't get away from it. You know what I mean? You just want it more. You want to, you know, you keep going, and then sun comes up and it starts all over again. You know what I'm saying? Like,
for me, it was, I tried to keep as normal as possible and have a job. But
yeah.
When you're staying up Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 days in a row, and then on Monday having to go back to work, that's a motherfucker. That's really
throwing your chemicals completely. I mean, and this is what I was saying before. You know, like through all of the partying and drinking and fucking doing coke and all the shit, and, you know, like it changed me. I mean, it literally changed me to the point where, like you said, you're going, and this is what we would do too. It would be like, you know, I would sell dope the whole week, right? But I wouldn't party it until the weekend. I would try to do this, and then it would be like, hey, somebody's birthday's on a Wednesday, right? So then it would start Wednesday, and then you'd kind of recover on Thursday, but then here comes Friday, and you start all over again. And now it falls into that Monday where you're like, fuck, I could get up and do whatever and be productive and write some music and write some tunes and lyrics that I need to write for this next album that I'm trying to put together with these productive musicians that are, you know, still going today, right? You know, these productive musicians, and I'm more worried about making a couple bucks to keep the roof above my head. And you know what I mean? It's just that fucking cycle over and over and over again, man. And my chemicals got off so bad, man, that all of a sudden when I stopped doing it, it was like, now I started to become really anxious around people, you know. Now I started becoming a little awkward. I started becoming like, you know, are these actually my friends, or are they fucking wanting to get high again? You know what I mean? Like, are they trying to score? You know, like that became something. And when I went to jail for the shit, it was like, dude, you know, you really realize that you don't have as many friends as you think you do, you know, and being popular, you know, or, you know, whatever that's fucking worth to me. I can say that now because it doesn't matter to me, really. I mean, I do this because I love the fucking music scene forever, you know, and I love hearing the stories of how everybody starts. I love, hearing the path and the journey of how we all became what we become, you know what I mean? As far as musically, you know, and how hard we worked at it, how hard people work at stuff. I enjoy that, man. I love that fucking feeling. Booking shows is the same way, you know, like I do it because I want to give people opportunities that I didn't have, or that maybe I did have, and I want to fucking spread the love. But I get fucking weird, man. I'm fucking weird from all of that shit, man. You know what I'm saying?
It does change. I mean, I never had problems with anxiety or depression till then, you know, and I had to change something. I was probably a lot more responsible, at least monetarily wise.
Yeah.
You know, I paid all my bills on time and that before. I was, you know, a lot more together. And I was pretty young too, you know.
Dude, I had to learn all that. That's what kills me, you know, like being as old as we are now, you know what I mean? I'm almost 50, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, I see so many younger people than me in their 30s that have houses and fucking, you know, land and you know, it's all material. It really doesn't fucking matter if you look at the grand scheme of it. If you're happy, that's all that really matters, right? I mean, that's how I look at it. Like, I don't have I don't own a house. I don't have a, you know, I rent a place, but it's a comfortable place, and you know what I mean? I can afford it, and I can, you know, keep my family fed, and, you know, I have a partner that works as hard as I do, if not more. But I look back, dude, and think how much I chased this dream. You know what I mean? That chased it, trying to be famous and trying to like, you know, it doesn't matter, you know, or you can be okay in your head. Like, I didn't know you got to pay your bills all the time on time. You know, I didn't do it. I was fucking horrible with money, and it didn't mean anything. I wasn't earning it by working. I was fucking selling drugs, man. It was free money. You know what I'm saying? It was like, I just didn't get it all. And now, you know, I work my fucking ass off, and I'm old. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I should be slowing down going, hey, I'm fucking 50. I should take it easy now. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to go to work. I'm going to do half of the job that I want to do. And you know what I mean? Like, I go to work and bust my fucking ass and come home and I'm tired as shit. I don't want to go to band practice.
Yeah.
I don't want to fucking, you know what I mean? Like, there's times when I don't even want to do this shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, man, I just want to be home in my chair, like watching TV, or, you know what I mean, on my computer, or like, you know, creating art. You know what I mean? That taking photos and editing photos and, you know what I mean? Creative shit. I love it. You know? It's motherfucker, bro.
Getting old.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure.
To try to, you know, still try to do stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, not ready just to quit.
Yeah.
You know, there was a few times where I wasn't really doing anything.
Yeah.
And it kind of sucked. And it was fine for a while, but then it's just, you get this urge to, well, I want to, you know, I wish I could be in a band again. And, And that, and
I feel like that right now. You know, there were there were opportunities. There were people that didn't want to work with me, and I knew about it, right? There were people that, like, I wanted to jam with, you know? Back in the day, that people wanted to jam with me all over the fucking place, right? And I stuck with one band, and I never went to jam with other people, and I regret that. You know what I mean? Like, if you could jam with other motherfuckers, especially to the young people that may be listening to us old fuckers that are here doing it, but jamming with more people is what I really wish I would have done. I think I would have picked up more ideas from people, you know, jived with more people at a time, you know what I'm saying? But now it's like, there was a stretch where nobody wanted to work with me between Sublevel to Necromus, and from Necromus to Outside the Murder. It was like, I didn't have people knocking on my door going, hey dude, you played a bunch of shows, you did a bunch of cool shit, like, why don't we start a project? It was like, dude, you jamming? No. Okay, I got this band over here, you know what I mean? Like, Bill Lindsay was, and I credit this to Bill Lindsay because he was one of my idols as a kid. You know what I mean? Like, you see Impaler and Trick or Treat as a kid. That was like, my aunt told me they're from fucking Minnesota. I knew nothing about Impaler when I was younger, but then my aunt followed them, you know, and seen them in concert a bunch of times, and I knew they were from here, you know. And then you see their shock rock, gore, you know, horror type shit, you know what I mean? I always thought that was just killer, you know. And then getting to know Bill and like seeing him play, and then playing shows with Bill, and like having a rapport with him, you know. I'm at Earl Root's funeral, you know, and Bill comes up to me and he's like, hey dude, you doing anything? And I'm like, no. And he goes, it's a damn shame, you know. Are you done? And I'm like, I really don't know. Nobody's knocking on the fucking door, you know. And Brad Miller's there. We used to jam together back in the day. And he's like, let's start something, you know. And it was just kind of one of them things that you get one of them guys like Jim Odegaard or somebody like that and gives you a smack on the ass and off into the fucking game you go again, you know. And I got, you know, guys like Rob Carlson who, you know, he's got a million fucking bands, buys a million guitars and has, you know, all these ideas coming out every fucking angle of the guy, you know what I'm saying? And you're just inspired by all these people. I'm inspired by guys like you that are still in it. You're still looking for people to jam with you, you know, you're still trying to do it. I admire that shit because right now I just don't have the drive for it. You know, I've done a lot of things. I feel like I could still probably create some cool shit, but I'm like, it's got to be the right motherfuckers. It can't just be Joe Schmo that I've never, you know, I don't know you. I don't, you know what I mean? I'm not going to spend, you know, a few $100s to get a room to fucking jam in, you know what I'm saying? And then not like anyone that comes in that room, you know what I mean? Like, it will kill me.
There's a lot of wankers out there, too, when it comes to music.
Yeah.
And we didn't get that many replies to our ad looking for a drummer, but some of the ones we did, it was just really flaky people that started out being really enthusiastic about it, and then they kind of ghost you.
Yeah.
Next time you try to get to talk to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was rough. Drummers are
very few and far between these days, man.
Yeah, it's
bass players and drummers are like the rhythm section is, you know, everybody wants to
yeah, play guitar.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really good ones out there too, you know.
I see we got Hey Metal Brothers, the Viking Meta joined us. The Alternative, what's up at Viking Meta? The Alternative, 47 years on the round ball for me. Let me see here. 47 years on this round ball for me. You said it twice. I miss jamming with people with similar interest in music. The music scene up here sucks ass. You know, I think it's all in the effort you put into it. And I'm not going to say that you don't put in the effort. I don't want to offend the people who are in the chat room with me, but I think there's a lot of schmoozing you got to do, a lot of elbow rubbing that you got to do, because there are like, and I hate to say this too, there's a lot of clicky bullshit that goes around too, man, where people are kind of, you know, like Minneapolis is weird like that too, where they'll have like just these bands that played just these house shows and they don't play out at venues. You know what I mean? They just stuck in the house shows. And then there's bands that play out at the clubs in Minneapolis and they don't come to St. Paul, you know? And St. Paul and Minneapolis, I've always had that thing where St. Paul bands stay in St. Paul and they draw well in St. Paul, but they don't draw as well in Minneapolis. It's kind of weird. And there's like these weird, oh, you're from a town for less than 10,000 people. Yeah. Not, oh, yeah. I got you. My bad, man. I thought you were talking here in the Twin Cities. Yeah, that would be tough to be in a small town and try to do something again. Like you're saying, it's like, you know, trying to drive, you know, to a small town, you know, further out or further in, you know, like I said, we had a guy from Alexandria that would come down and play bass, you know.
Greg was telling me about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a long way.
Yeah.
I did a couple of shows up there.
Yeah. 2 hours away.
Yeah, almost seemed longer
for
some reason, especially at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
driving back.
Fucking flat and just nothing but one light, you know, going by you. Yeah. So now you're still working on the hill of crosses, and you're
just trying to get a solid lineup.
Yeah.
You know, and that's been the issue for the last 2 years, is trying to find that drummer, you know.
Yeah.
It's been rough.
Yeah.
I was almost thinking about going back to playing drums again, but you know, the couple experiences I've had in bands as a drummer, it just seemed like they just wanted a timekeeper, and they didn't really want any other like input from me.
Right.
And I'm used to being a guitar player.
Right.
So
right.
Didn't really fly with me. So
I think that might be my problem too when it comes to creativity too. Like I've been really fucking lucky when it comes to being a vocalist and having a vibe or feeling a vibe, you know, with, like jiving with guitar players or bass players or drummers, like being able to speak that language that guitar players and bass players and drummers all, you know what I mean? Like, hey man, right there, you know, 4 times there, 6 times, you know what I mean? You're talking time signatures, and then, you know, you're like, oh, chug chug here and a chug chug there. And, you know, like just articulating a vibe that you feel inside to a guitar player, and the guitar player being open enough to go, oh, you mean, you know what I mean? That, and going, yeah. You know, like having that communication with every member in the band, you know what I mean? Like, I would never be able to be in a band now with just a guitar player going, oh, I got this riff, and the other guitar player going, hey, I got this riff. Well, it's not my riff, so we're not playing. You know what I mean? That whole fucking headbutting shit, I couldn't handle that. I'd be like, fucking get out of here.
Yeah, I just don't see really a reason for that. It's like you're in the same band.
Yeah.
Collaborate.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Compromise something. Get something so you can move on.
Yeah. So do you have a bunch of material stockpiled for?
Honestly, I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I should have been working on all that stuff during the quarantine, but.
Well, like you said though, if you don't have a drummer, like, you know,
Yeah.
need to fucking. But you play drums and you record stuff. Like I said, dude, if I could do all of that shit, I would be hiring people to come and play my shit. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, if we weren't going to find a drummer, I was going to basically, record my tracks to a click track or metronome, and then put my drums in later.
Yeah.
But luckily, hopefully, I won't have to do that.
Yeah.
That's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And some people are pretty good at it.
Yeah.
I
Well, I suppose it's kind of hard to do scratch tracks when you don't have the drummer, you know what I mean? Like
it's we've never used like a click track as
Yeah.
far as recording.
Yeah.
So it's like
Just all live.
trying to play along with something like that. It's just you lose kind of that
Vibe of
what
it.
do you
Yeah.
call it? Kind of the groove. You're kind of playing off each other.
Sure. Yeah.
that.
Improvisation or somewhat like that.
I hate drum machines. I really do.
Yeah.
I've never been one to like to program drums.
Yeah.
Shit frustrates me.
Yeah. I could see that, man. I could totally see that. That shit's fucking kind of weird, actually. I would be weirded out by that shit. Let me hit some more of these shows here. What do we got here? I did this one. Okay, May 3rd at the Skyway. We did this one, the Convalescence Necronomicon. The band, I couldn't fucking read their logo. Reflections of the Flesh, Echoes of the Fallen. Tuesday, May 3rd, Skyway Theater, Studio B, 711 Hennepin Avenue, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Doors are at 6, 18 plus, $12 in advance, 15 at the door. You can get tickets at skywaytheater.com. We'll go to, oh, wait, I skipped one. God damn it. 30 Years of Retribution. Malevolent Creation is doing their 30-year Retribution tour with Narcotic Wasteland. That is May 6th. It is a Friday at Skyway Theater, Studio B. With Narcotic Wasteland, 2 local bands, Krog, which both are fantastic, and Maniacal Force. Again, May 6th. That is a Friday. Skyway Theater, 18 plus. Read that. 6:30 doors, 7:30 music, $20 in advance, $25 at the door. Get tickets at skywaytheater.com. That is going to be a fucking fantastic show. Malevolent Creation hasn't toured in a long time. And they're doing this whole Retribution fucking, that whole album is going to be fantastic. I mean, doing the show, it's going to be fucking a great show. So come check it out. Please support the Skyway Theater shows that we're doing. Myself and Natalie Quirk and Alex Gorgos are putting these shows at the Skyway and trying to get some bigger name bands in there, put some local bands. And this is something that I want to put out there too, is that back in the day, it was all about merit. Like when you played shows and you got a buzz, and you had fans that stayed there to see you, and you moved up the ranks. You open the show, you play second, you play third, you get to the 4th spot, and then you were headlining, and you had this group of people that came to see you, and you built this rapport with people. With these shows, man, these bands that we're putting on these shows are bands that are tested and true bands. Krog is a great thrash death style band. They release a great album. that you could find on YouTube. Or, I mean, YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify, and all the stuff. Maniacal Force is a newer band that is a phenomenal fucking band that deserves a lot of accolades, in my opinion, because they're a solid band. They put out a solid demo, really good stuff. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to give people opportunities to play these shows, and hopefully we can continue to do this at Skyway Theater. But we need your support. We need your help. So come down and enjoy this show and all the other ones that we got set up there. Across town that same night, we've got at Club Underground, May 6th, the Mentors U.S. Tour featuring Elbow Deep, which is they're releasing a CD that night as well. The band from Fargo, Moorhead area, Pursuit, is opening the show. $10 cover, 21 plus. Doors are at 8 p.m. Music starts at 9. 355 Monroe. That's at Club Underground in Northeast Minneapolis. Go check out that show. That's going to be a fantastic show as well. Two killer shows right across the fucking river from each other. Well, I mean, they're on the same side of Minneapolis, the same side of the damn city, but opposite sides of that that part of the city. We'll go there with that. Let me see here. This is a sponsor show that we're doing here. Mental Health for Mental Health, featuring, let me get close to this because I can't fucking see shit. Ninth Planet, see here, Dreams Aside, Mirror of Being, X Regime, and fuck, I can't read that one either. Yeah, I can't read that. It's way too small. Saturday, May 14th. Doors are at 2 p.m. That's an early show. Music is at, that says doors are at 2 p.m. Music is at 6 p.m. Cover is $10. Lupulin Brewing, a brewing company in Big Lake. That's kind of cool. I'm sponsoring this show, and it's portions of the proceeds will be donated to Scars Foundation, and that I believe is like a Scars Foundation's got to be like a fucking suicide prevention type of thing, or like a mental health deal. I don't know all the fucking details. You see how professional I am doing this stuff, but that's the 14th of May. It's a Saturday. Good show, good early show even. Get there. It's up in Big Lake at Lupulin. Am I saying that right? Lupulin. Lupulin? That's right? Sounds right? Lupulin Brewing in Big Lake. Go check that show out. Let me hear here. The second go-round of the Safety Joe Fest 2, Pursuit, the band we just said that's playing with the Mentors. They're playing this. This is June 10th through the 12th at Wasco's Campground. That place is absolute chaos during these shows. You can camp up there. It's $20 pre-sale, $30 at the door. June 10th through the 12th. Again, that's Pursuit, Volsuga Saga, Blame the Witness, Bludgeon, Blow the FM Radio, Echoes of the Fallen, Glorified, Born in Regression, Defiled Sacrament, and I can't read that either. People with your fucking logos. I love your brutal logos. They look great, but right underneath your logo, you should actually put it in normal English. I know that sounds stupid, and it might sound like I'm an old fuck, but here's the thing, is that people that are consumers of your music, who want to check out your music, when they look at your logo, they're like, who the fuck is that? And they look at the band and they go, wow, these guys are great. Who the fuck was that again? Oh, that's their album right there? What the fuck does that say? What is their name again? Oh, it's whatever. Put it where you can fucking read the shit. Just little, right? That's a little information there from an old fucker, right? What's that?
I have hard time reading a lot of them logos.
Yeah, the pile of sticks logos.
I think you'd want to have a logo that somebody could read.
Right. You want your name to be known, right?
It's not brutal.
Yeah, it's not brutal enough. I got another show here. Another Studio B station, Skyway Theater Studio B show. Saturday, June 18th, we're bringing in some fucking heavy hitters. Mortis Skull, old school death metal band from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Great band. They are still touring. They're still old school as fuck, and they are fucking phenomenal. Still to this day. We had them at Lee's Liquor Lounge, and they put on a fantastic show. Giant drum kits, great fucking just metal. We got a band from Chicago, Dissenter, coming through. Another killer fucking band. Bludgeon is going to be on that, and another. I feel so stupid, dude. I put this show together and I can't read this logo, so I don't even know. I'm dude. It's my fault. Just come to the show. It's Saturday, June 18th, Skyway Theater, Studio B, 18 plus, 6:30 doors, 7:30 music, 15 in advance, 18 at the door. Get your tickets at skywaytheater.com. I am fucking horrible. Last one, and I'll be done with this stuff. But please support these shows, support these venues. We appreciate you, supporting your local bands in the underground. Midwest Death Fest, Saturday, June 25th, hosted by Midwest Metal Promotions and Cerebus Entertainment. Unmerciful, Putrid Pile, Casket Robbery, Gorgatron, Coffin Rites, Agony Reigns, Maul, and Semtex. Amsterdam, $20 in advance, $25 at the door, 21 plus, 5 p.m. doors, 5:30 show. That is going to be a phenomenal show. If you have not seen Putrid Pile, it is a must-see. This dude programs his drums. He does all of this shit. It's heavy. Come check it out. Again, that's Saturday, June 25th, Midwest Death Fest at the Amsterdam Bar. And then I will go back now. All right. There we go. How you doing? You good? Are you tired of hearing me fucking yammer on about this stuff?
Yeah, I gotta take a piss.
All right, go ahead. Just straight out that door, right the way you came in out there. Straight through the door and to your left, you'll see it. Straight through the main door. I hope everybody's doing well tonight. Thank you for joining us. We're pretty much at the tail end of the episode. I just want to close up with Nick and get some closing thoughts from Nick. I appreciate everybody who is joining in the chat. Thank you very much. Viking Metal. Let me see here. I'll scroll back up a little bit here because I want to make sure I see what you guys are talking about here. Let me see here. I've been listening to The Root of All Evil since Church Tower days. R.I.P. Earl for the first time watching Ritual Madness podcast. Thank you very much. I appreciate you watching the show. Very much appreciated. What is ROAE? Root of All Evil is a radio show that is on KFAI's Fresh Air Radio. Oh, no, this is Roar of the Underground. I'm sorry, Roar of the Underground. Oh, no, this is Root of All Evil. God damn it. I swear to God, I get a tick. Root of All Evil was founded by Earl Root from Disturbed, the real Disturbed back in the day. He was amazing, dude. He supported all of us young kids coming up. Earl and Jim were guys from Disturbed that really pushed us as kids to play here in the Twin Cities. Earl is a serious loss to this music scene. He ran the Root of All Evil for many years from early 80s. It's been a while since he passed. But I want to say Chris Munch, right? And Josh Kellerman took over the Root of All Evil, but they also have a show on Thursday evenings called The Roar of the Underground that does virtually the same thing, that reviews killer bands, and that's run by Bill Hansen, the Reverend Bill Hansen, on KFAR Fresh Air Radio, a local public access radio station, basically in the Twin Cities that supports local music and underground music. So they've been around for a long time, man. So Viking, if you get a chance, man, look that shit up. If you get a chance, look that shit up. Very well worth looking it up. And they're much more professional at doing this shit than I am. Honestly, this is purely hobby for me. 263 or 62 episodes. It's a lot of me yammering on, doing the same thing, talking to the guest and trying to jam in a bunch of.
I think you do well.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate
Better
it.
than I would be.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Yes, Mortiscold is very cool. I turned 47 in February. Happy birthday. Viking is 58. You old bastard. Support to you and your podcast, Greg. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Ritual Man podcast. You're going to have to blow up those flyers so your eyes can read them. Honestly, dude, when you look at them on YouTube, you can pull them back out after this is all down. Live, I don't think you can actually do that. I don't know. But Mike here, Jason here. Hey, Mike, you have a good night. You guys have a good night. They do a good job, Semtex. Yes, Semtex is fantastic. I appreciate those guys a lot. Old school thrash guys, old school guys that we knew since we were kids. The Kern brothers and Josh Kellerman, all fantastic people. And Damien is their bass player. Their new addition, Aaron Limatainen, fantastic guitar player. They're keeping the old school alive with that thrash stuff, man, and I really appreciate those guys. You got a chance to check those guys out, right?
Yeah.
You got to see Matt Valley play too.
Yep.
That's crazy to see that cat after all those years of playing in State of Mind, and
that was kind of an early influence too, because those guys, like you said, were doing
shit we wanted to do
before kind of we were.
Yeah, they were just. I mean, we were right behind them, but it was like, they were paving the way for guys like us, man. You know what I mean? And having Matt here was so kind of surreal for me, because I remember looking up to him and his brother Mike just so much. Like, they were the quintessential metalheads, man, when we were fucking kids. They were, and they're not that much older than we are, but it's just like, I remember seeing those dudes and going, man, they had the leather jackets, the long hair, the fucking.
You'd walk into, they used to kind of hang out on the mezzanine at our school.
Yeah.
So, I used to see them all the time. And
oh, yeah.
that's kind of one of the reasons why we kind of, got into it more, because.
You saw cats that you knew doing it.
Yeah.
Seen, that's huge, man. And that's man, for all the people that are watching, and any of the younger folks that are watching, man, this lifestyle is so like, you talk to some old guys that are really jaded, and they're like, don't do it. It's fucking, don't be a musician. It's fucking, you're not going to make any fucking money at it or whatever. But when you get into this lifestyle, when you start tracking down those bands and you start finding those rare gems, man, I mean, you were talking about that, the deep track stuff, the things that, you didn't hear on the fucking radio, the songs that were way better than the fucking radio songs, you know what I mean? The deep tracks of an album, man. And when you could find those rare gems of old, German or European thrash or, any of that stuff, it was so important to us as kids, man. We were finding these things that nobody knew about. Not our older brothers, not our uncles, not the ones that were listening to Sabbath and turned us on to fucking Kiss and turned us on to Zeppelin and Ted Nugent and all this other shit. We were finding things that they had no idea about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We were like, it felt like we were, we were set out like Columbus or whoever was fucking, you know what I mean? We were setting out for, finding these things. And, this lifestyle, man, it's like, my love for metal has never waned through the years. I've just found all kinds of other music to jam in there too. You know what I mean? And like, I know so many guys that are metal to the core where they don't take in any other type of music, and it's just like, how can you do it, man?
I'd say I was like that kind of in the beginning.
Yeah, me too, man.
Even, I was a fan of like Priest and that, and it's like when I got into the more underground bands, it's like Priest. Man.
Yeah.
Then eventually I got into them again, like a little later on. Once, it's kind of like that for a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
It was, bands that I had heard of way back in the day that I'd never heard until like recently. I heard the name, but
I find it absolutely, dude, me too. My first Kiss album that I owned was double platinum. My own personal, the one I owned. You know what I'm saying? That was my first one. But I had a buddy who had every fucking Kiss album. His mom bought him every Kiss album, so I had heard all that stuff when I was a kid. That was like the thing when I was a kid. I fucking loved that shit. Going back to that stuff and finding and searching for all that, here's what blows me away is that there are kids out there like some of these cats and the guys in Pursuit or Agony Reigns or Begravement or, some of these guys that are just coming up now. I talk to them here or I see them out and they're wearing like old school patches on their vests or even wearing vests, you know what I mean? The battle vest that we had when we were fucking kids, you know what I'm saying? The jean jackets and shit with all the patches on them and everything, And I see some of these younger cats and they go back in the catalogs. They don't just listen to the Slipknots and Forward. You know what I'm saying? They find the old thrash, you know, the Exodus and the Slayers and the old Metallica shit, you know, pre fucking Black Album, and, you know, the old Megadeth and the, you know, the old Anthrax and the old SODs, and, you know, I mean, all that shit that we listened to as kids. These younger cats are like researching it and, like, you know, slapping it onto this new shit, man. I start to hear some of the riffs and I'm just like, man, that's fucking old school as hell, you know?
For sure.
It blows me away. I loved it. I love to see, and, you know, because with the original part of the podcast, and I was doing a lot less video stuff. It was all audio, you know, you had to go and find the app and listen to it that way. And we still had 50,000 fucking downloads, you know, but I had more opportunity to play more music, you know, and I'd have the guests come in and bring in a bunch of music. And it was like, I would love to hear the old Dio shit coming up, you know what I mean? And old, you know, old Sabbath and all, you know what I mean? Like these new school cats that are still got their ears to the old head shit, you know what I mean? I love that shit. I love it. It's like it's not lost, man. It gives me hope that, you know, there'll still be cool shit out there. You know what I mean?
It's kind of hard to believe that there's some people that have never heard.
Yeah.
Metal is not part of their life. Rock music's not a part of their life. There's a lot of people like that. Just for whatever reason, their parents weren't in it.
Yeah.
They don't know what it is. They don't, you know, they didn't grow up with it. That's just weird to believe that. So they could live their whole life and not experience.
Do you remember
metal.
when we were the anomalies, dude? Remember when we were the fucking outcasts? And now it's like everybody's into, you know what I mean? Like, it's watered down kind of now. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have as much meaning. You know what I mean? Like, we had to look for shit, man. It wasn't like we could just go on the internet and find all, you know what I mean? Like all the shit and like, you know, put a playlist into Spotify, and then all of a sudden, you know, 20 bands that are similar to this genre, you know what I mean, pop up, and you're like, holy shit, that's really cool. You know, you hear Parkway Drive or some shit like that, or, you know, Oceana or some, you know, things that are just off the beaten path of what you normally would listen to, but you're like, damn, you know. Misery Index for me was one of those bands where you hear it and you're just like, damn, these guys are fucking mean. Even Dying Fetus, for that matter. You know, I never heard of them guys, and all of a sudden, you know, cats that I knew were like, if you haven't heard this shit, it's very similar to the old school, you know, shit. You know, I love that stuff, man. I love hearing that. People going back to the old school, like Skeletal Remains is one of those bands, and Gate Creepers, another one of those bands. To me, sound like the old school death metal that we listened to, you know, or that I listened to when the shit first came out. You know what I mean? Like, I love those bands that tip their hat to the old school. You know.
I just think too. I mean, back years ago at our time, I mean, it wasn't the internet, so I mean, you had to like kind of. There's a very, very not a whole lot of media as far as finding out what was out there, and yeah, you know, magazines, Metal Forces, and and so forth.
Yep.
But it wasn't just go on the internet and look up all this shit.
Yeah. Fuck, we even bought fanzines, and people that we knew did fanzines back in the day. You know what I mean? And
times you'd buy albums just because how the cover art looked. You know?
Yep. Or on the certain label. That was one that I did too.
Well, it's on Combat, so it's got to be good.
Yeah.
I remember a few like Carnivore. We had never heard them before, and we ended up buying that album just because it looked cool.
Retaliation or
Retaliation, and it's put it on. It's like, holy shit, this is insane.
Yeah, which turns into Typo Negative later on in our
thought,
That's you know, I love that old Carnivore shit. That was a band that my buddy turned me on to, and I was just like, wow, these guys are awesome. And you know, I met Peter Steele like a handful of times when he was with Typo. You know, at the Metal Fest was the first time I met him. He was dating the porn star Shane at the time.
Oh, okay.
I met him there, and then we did security for him at the Quest a few times, and he was just super cool, fucking gigantic dude, you know what I mean? But super cool, nice sweetheart of a dude. And it was crazy for me to think I was listening to Carnivore as a fucking teenager, you know what I mean? And here the dude is standing in front of me, you know, and then playing some doomy shit that I was just like, Typo was never really my thing, you know what I mean? It just never grabbed me the way Carnivore was just so much rawer and, you know, kind of punk rock fucking crossover a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, it is so different now, you know, the ways of finding things are so, it was like a treasure hunt when we were kids, you know.
Much.
You go to, you know, Northern Lights, which was such a cool record store when we were kids, you know, and Music Land and fucking, you know what I mean? You'd find those rare ones at those places, you know.
That was kind of what was left over once Northern Lights
Yeah.
went out of business in, I think it was 89.
Yeah.
I mean, I lived right down the street from there. I'd go there 2-3 times a week.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, I got to go to a mall store and try to find
Yeah. Shit that you really like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could find it sometimes, but on the whole, they didn't really carry a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fucking pretty crazy, man. Well, dude, I appreciate you coming in. We've been rocking it for 2 hours and 18 minutes. That's pretty fucking. I've been talking pretty much the whole time, man. But I appreciate you coming in, man.
Yeah,
and
thanks for inviting me.
Oh yeah, man. I wish you the best with finding. You know, it sounds like you're slowly piecing it back together for the Hill Crosses thing.
Yeah.
And I like this thrash style stuff, man. It's old school. It's a tip to the old school, and I like it, man. That you're staying in that vein, and you know, with the drummer that's coming down to jam with you, I know the capabilities of that cat, man, and he'll add so much more to you know, and the ideas will be pouring out of you, man, because this dude is just fucking amazing.
Definitely handle it.
Yeah,
there's a lot of people, you know, that come in, you wonder if they're going to be able to
to
do it, but he'll be able to play it
for sure.
Role, so.
For sure, man. Well, I wish you the best with that, man. And again, thanks for coming in and taking the time to do the show. I appreciate it. I know it's been a long time that we've kind of known each other in passing, you know, and being in the same music scene and not really having a chance to sit down and have a fucking real conversation about the same things that we've experienced for so many fucking years, you know, in passing, you know.
Like that for a lot of us old metalheads from way back in the day. A lot of stuff in common.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. Well, I appreciate you doing it. I appreciate everybody joining us, man. Thank you very much for joining us. I know I don't have a podcast next weekend because I'm going to be at that Minnesota Music Cafe show. That is next Friday at the 22nd. Come check that out. It is kind of an early show to be done by 11 o'clock. So if you get a chance, come out there, hang out with me. Let's drink a couple drinks, shoot some cool bands, and talk some shit.
I like that with stuff being earlier.
Yeah, I like it. That's what we've been trying to do at the Skyway too, is kind of keep it, you know, done by like midnight, and just, you know what I'm saying, like get everybody in and out and fucking be done with it. You know what I'm saying? Not staying downtown till 3-4 in the morning when all the stupid clubs get out and people are getting shot and shit. Get in and out and get it done with, man. That's what I'm saying. So yeah, make sure you get out and support these venues that are doing things. The Minnesota Music Cafe, the Amsterdam, the Caboose, First Avenue, the Turf Club. You know, all these venues that are still out doing things and supporting your local music scene. Without the underground, there would be no fucking bands that are big and signed and out there doing the things, and you wouldn't be able to see all these tours, man. And just support these local shows, support your national shows. Keep this shit going, because we got to keep this shit going. This lifestyle is what it is, man. And I appreciate every single one of you folks for joining us tonight. Like I said, well, that would do it. We're going to fucking go out on, what song did I have? You sent me another one. It's the title track of this one, correct? No, it's For All Humankind. For All Humankind. Tell me what that one's about.
You know, it's life.
The good part of it or the bad part of it?
It's just all shit you got to go through. Just as a human in these modern times.
Hell yeah. There's a lot of it, isn't there? Well, thank you again, dude, for coming on. I appreciate it very much. Again, folks, don't forget to check out Anti-Broadcasting Incorporated, custom screen printing, anti-broadcasting at gmail.com, 612-836-9488. Also, support local tattoo artists, Lowbrow Saints Tattoo Collective, Lowbrow Saints at gmail.com, 612-353-4755. We're going to do some Hill of Crosses. Y'all have a good night. Stay tuned. Make sure that you check us out, ritualmanispodcast.com, or on on the fucking on the Facebooks, the books of faces. I always post who's going to be on the podcast, and I think it's 2 weeks before I have a guest. And make sure you come check us out, hang out with us, talk some shit in the chat. I appreciate it. Thank you guys. Have a good night. Peace.
Ritual Madness Podcast.